This is a story that begins in a quiet cul-de-sac where a young family invites somebody new into their lives. And what would eventually happen there would captivate the country for nearly 3 years.
In 2021, Juliana Perez Magalhães came from Brazil to Virginia to work for Christine and Brendan Banfield. She was to be their au pair.
An au pair is typically a person who comes from a different country, who joins a family and helps out. It's like a live-in nanny.
At the time, Christine and Brendan Banfield had a 3-year-old daughter. And like a lot of couples, they had demanding jobs. And they needed somebody to help look after their daughter.
A year and 4 months after Juliana joins the Banfield family, a tragedy hits the family.
On February 24th, 2023, the family life that Juliana Magalhães was sharing with the Banfields was completely shattered. It was turned upside down.
911, where's your emergency?
I need help. There is my friend. She just was stuck in the knife now. She's bleeding a lot. I don't know what to do anymore.
Okay, where are you located? What's your address?
Oh my God.
Take a deep breath for me. Just let me know your address.
The Banfield's au pair, Juliana, is the one who calls 911.
There's a woman on the phone, and she's difficult to understand. She's not able to get out the address or really the nature of the emergency.
Is there somebody else there that can give me the address?
Stablebrook Way.
Okay. And what's your name and what's going on?
My name is Brendan Banfield. I'm a federal agent. This is my house. There's somebody here. I shot him. But he stabbed her.
Brendan described in his 911 call that he, in fact, interrupted a man attacking his wife in the primary bedroom of their home.
Brendan tells them that he shot the attacker to protect his wife.
She's bleeding. She's got several marks on her neck. It's my wife. She's not responding. She's heart's still beating. She's
Okay.
still breathing.
You said she's breathing normally. She's just not responding to you.
She's got a very big hole in her neck.
Okay.
Can you just send help, please?
Yeah, they're on the way. And you said you don't know the individual that was shot.
No, I don't know.
Okay, I have officers that are pulling up outside, okay?
Myself and all the other detectives on my squad that were available responded out to the scene.
When police arrive at the Banfield home and go up to the master bedroom, they enter a chaotic scene.
Police go up the stairs, then they're on the staircase. They see Juliana inside the primary bedroom. Juliana comes outside the bedroom, speaks to an officer, and she tells the officer the 4-year-old girl is in the basement.
My host kid is downstairs.
Okay.
I'm in here.
How old's your host kid?
She's 4.5.
4.5. Where is she?
I need to talk to her. She doesn't know anything. What's
Can we get her and we'll go outside?
So the police officer and Juliana together go down into the basement. You can see a little 4-year-old girl.
Hey, I'm Officer Bell. Nice to meet you. Do you want to go outside with us?
You need to go outside, okay?
You see Juliana, at the behest of police, take the daughter out of the house.
Do you just want to tell me quickly what happened?
I don't really know what happened. Everything happened too fast.
The police officer tells the 4-year-old girl, why don't you go with that officer?
Can you go with Officer Batani really quick? Why don't you come with us? He has some stickers for you.
During this time, Juliana starts making some statements to the officer about what happened.
I was going to take her to the zoo this morning, and then I forgot the lunch we were gonna bring.
Juliana basically explains what happened that morning. How Brendan left for work, Christine is home that day. Juliana, is taking the little girl to the zoo for the day. She had forgot their lunches. She came back, she saw a strange car in the driveway. A man got out of it and he walked through the front door of the house.
Do you know who the person is?
I have no idea.
She calls Christine Banfield, who does not answer her phone. Then she calls Brendan Banfield, alerts him to what is happening.
I called Brendan, it's her husband. He's up there. I call him. I see his French car, but I don't know who is that. Please come here, I'm scared.
Brendan was at a nearby McDonald's, and then he came back to the home.
He comes home, the three of them go into the back of the house, left the little girl in the basement, and went upstairs.
Juliana explains that she and Brendan saw this man holding a knife at Christine, threatening to kill her.
Brendan was saying, police, drop the knife. I'm sorry, my first thing was just not English.
No, you're doing really well.
And then he was saying, I'm gonna kill her. And I don't know, he started stabbing her. I think Brendan shot him.
You can see she's shaken up. She's not speaking complete sentences.
It's okay.
You see Juliana hyperventilating, flustered, just seemingly very distraught.
Okay, take a breath. It's okay. Take a minute, okay?
I need some water.
Outside the house, Juliana is talking to police, and Brendan is upstairs with the police in the bedroom where all this happened.
Brendan Banfield is escorted out of the house. He was complaining of an injury or pain to his leg. While he was being transported, Brendan asked about his wife, Christine.
Is there a way to get an update?
We see him put into an ambulance. We see officers talking to him.
Where'd all this blood come from, you know?
I was holding her neck. Can I be with her?
They're gonna work on her when they get there. You wouldn't be able to see her immediately anyway.
I want to be with her.
Okay.
He was eventually transported to a hospital. There's a doctor that comes in at one point when Brendan is at the hospital.
Yeah, one of the doctors here. Your wife has died. Sounds like there was a lot of blood loss.
Yes.
So I think that she died of blood loss.
I was trying to apply pressure.
Yeah. I mean, those were enormous wounds, and you know, it's not.
There were so many.
Yes, and the neck is not compressible, so it's not possible really to stop all the blood loss. Everything that was possible to be done was done for her right away. You did a wonderful, you know, you did everything that was possible. It's not a survivable injury. You want to wash your hands? Probably feel better after that. Soap right here.
As Brendan is struggling with the idea that he has lost his wife, a patient advocate joins him, and you can hear him praying.
Hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done.
While Brendan's at the hospital, the house is being processed as a crime scene.
Police Chief Kevin Davis of Fairfax County came out and spoke to reporters.
We have 2 adults who have been killed. One was shot and killed, and the other was stabbed and killed.
The wife of the household was killed. A man unrelated to the household was shot. It's unclear their relationship.
And we're just trying to work out the details, the sequence of these violent acts.
Police need to figure out who is this man who Brendan Banfield says he came upon in the master bedroom of his house attacking his wife.
We don't know a lot of things just yet, and we're working really hard to find them out. Certainly a double murder in a quiet community like this one is unusual, and it's upsetting to everyone. I get it, and we're gonna work really hard to get the facts.
When we first heard this story, it seemed pretty clear-cut. There was an intruder who came in when Christine was still sleeping, who got caught in the middle of the act.
The interest in this was big and bold right away, and we knew that this was gonna be a big one immediately. Brendan Banfield was a federal law enforcement officer. He worked for the IRS. Federal law enforcement carried a gun both on and off duty. His wife, Christine, is an ICU nurse.
So this happened in Fairfax County. It's just outside of Washington, D.C.
The area where the Banfields lived was an upper middle class suburban neighborhood, roughly $1 million homes, a lot of families around.
I know that community to be very quiet, very safe, tree-lined streets, cul-de-sacs, a lot of kids. We enjoy a very low violent crime rate. So murders don't happen very often in Fairfax County.
In the hours after this tragic incident, law enforcement does reveal the name of that mystery man found inside the home, Joseph Ryan.
The male decedent who was found dead inside the home, shot to death, Joseph Nathan Ryan. He's 39 years old. At the beginning of the investigation, we didn't know much at all about Joe Ryan.
We know that he lives locally. He doesn't have any apparent connections to the Banfields.
We have to sort out the exact nature of Mr. Ryan's presence inside the home.
I sat down with 3 of the nurses who had worked with Christine over the years. They were bonded in this pediatric ICU unit. I mean, they couldn't believe this had happened to their friend.
I heard from a coworker. She was like, hey, I just heard that Christine's dead. And I was like, what are you talking about?
And you hear that she's stabbed in her own home. What do you make of this?
I was just like in absolute disbelief at that time. She's such a genuine, caring person. So for something that brutal to happen to her, it just didn't make sense.
Christine and Brendan Banfield had been together for almost 2 decades, starting in college. They had moved from Long Island, New York in 2019 to Virginia.
And she had left her job. She was working as a sexual assault nurse examiner. So she left that position and she came down and she was excited to work in the PICU.
And being in pediatric ICU, I mean, that's got to be very hard.
You have to be strong, emotionally strong. When you have to really love what you do. She definitely was extremely resilient, very smart, very kind.
In fact, I heard her described as a mother hen.
100%. When I first met her, she's like, hi, I'm Christine. People know me as the mother hen. And I was like, what? She was like, I just take everybody in underneath of my wings and make sure everybody feels welcomed and loved and cared for. When COVID first happened, without knowing the risks of what was going on, she took it upon herself to volunteer. She offered to go over to the adult side and work with some of their COVID positive patients.
There was a patient she had during COVID who was in a coma for a very long time.
I was 5 weeks in coma. When I was in coma, one day I just wake up. When I opened my eyes, I saw a nurse that was taking care of me. And she's like, how can I help you? She was advocating for me and doing everything. She was shaving me, she was cleaning me. I think as a nurse, she was an angel. It was the best person that God gave me in this moment just to come back to life. After I got out of the hospital, I asked her, like, hey, can we have a call? It was amazing. Just to see her, I invite her to my house with her husband and her daughter. She went to my birthday with her family. She was the kindest person that I met in the US.
As a friend and as a nurse, she was one of the most compassionate people I've ever known. She always thought about someone else before she thought about herself. I am Christine's best friend from childhood. We've been friends for over 40 years. As kids, we lived 2 houses down, so we were always together. Every birthday we spent together. Our first Holy Communions, our confirmations, proms, Sweet 16s, I mean, you name it. At every stage of life, she was there for. Christine could be a spitfire. She was fun, she was funny, and she liked to have a good time. Then as we got a little older, we got obsessed with the Backstreet Boys, and we would stay up all night learning the Everybody dance and things like that.
Everybody, rock your body right.
I remember when she came back from college, she was one of my first friends to get married, and going through all of that and their first house together.
Christine and Brendan, by all appearances, have a lot in common. They like hiking and traveling and looking after their 2 dogs, Huskies.
Her baby shower was exactly 8 years ago, and the laughing and being so excited for her to become a mom. It was a beautiful day.
Did you get a sense of what kind of a mom she was?
the best mom ever.
She just loved her so much. She always would show us pictures that her daughter had drawn or what outfit she had picked out for the day and had taken pictures and would share it with everybody there.
How much did you know about Brendan?
She just talked very highly of him all the time. I mean, she was very proud that he worked for the government and the life that they had built and created.
She was definitely more of an extrovert, and I think he was more of an introvert.
Brendan came off shy and into like gaming and things like that.
I had an opportunity to meet one of Brendan's friends, Brian Jarrett. They met on a gaming site. They were both avid gamers. Later, they actually met each other in person and their friendship continued. They participated in these tough mutter races together. He thought a lot of Brendan.
He's one of those people, it seemed like, oh, he always like had it all figured out. It seemed like had like, a life that a lot of people would be envious of. He always presented himself as somebody of very high integrity. He was always really good at analyzing a situation and finding like maybe the most efficient way to approach it. I was over at their house a good bit. It seemed like he really cared about his family, and that was what was most important to him in his life. Just seemed to have it all.
Was she pleased with where their lives were going?
I would say so. I mean, she would describe her life as perfect, and she used that word perfect.
She posted one time, "All of my heart fit into one picture." Did that seem to describe the way she felt about her home life?
Yeah, everything was perfect.
They couldn't believe that the person they knew would wind up dead like this.
Their au pair saw this man walk through the front door of the house carrying a bag. It seemed pretty intentional. How did that happen?
This question started to come up of, did Christine know this person?
It comes out that Joe Ryan wasn't necessarily a stranger, that he had communications with a Christine Banfield. On this website,
it's like, what's going on here? Is she leading a secret life?
Thing has happened in the house.
I don't know what to tell her.
You don't have to tell her anything, okay?
But
You just give her a big hug, tell her she's okay. Give her a big hug, okay?
Christine had an au pair. How did she decide to go that route as opposed to the classic babysitter or nanny?
She saw having an au pair as an opportunity to invite somebody to our country, to give them the opportunity they wouldn't have if they were not here.
So she saw it as sort of giving
100%
to someone else.
100%. Christine saw her au pairs as family.
the Banfields had an au pair prior to Juliana, and they seemed to really have loved that au pair.
She'd even posted on social media about the first au pair she had. She posted, "My daughter and her best friend, her sister, her third parent, her everything."
We had an au pair of our own for a year when my first son was 6 months old. And
was that based on their advice?
Based on their recommendation. She went ahead and sent me a lot of the questions and things that she was looking for with her au pair, and that's kind of used that as like a guideline.
Then later she gets another au pair, Juliana.
Her initial au pair had gotten married, and she had talked openly about another person coming in from Brazil and was excited to have a new person.
Before leaving Brazil, Juliana had studied nursing. She was a classic 20-year-old. She loved experimenting with makeup, seemed to be checking out dating apps, and she was proud of her heritage. You can see in her bedroom there at the Banfield house, the Brazilian flag hanging up on her wall.
Law enforcement is still investigating the scene, seeing what evidence is going to piece together to get a full understanding of what happened.
Initially, Brendan and his daughter and his family, they were all placed in a hotel nearby while police were investigating the crime scene in the house. And I went ahead and visited him over there.
How was Brendan reacting at that point? He's killed somebody, his wife is dead?
He seemed pretty sad and broken up about it. He was talking about, like how we wouldn't be able to do any of the future things that he and Christine had planned. I know even one time I brought up how his daughter was gonna have a birthday party, and he's like, yeah, normally Christine would take care of that. I don't know what to do.
Your heart must have broken for him.
Yeah, it sounded terrible.
What about Juliana? How was she?
She was saying like, oh, the police talked to me for like 8 hours the previous day.
When I saw Brendan for the first time at the funeral, I would describe him as a zombie. The only thing that he ever said to me at the wake was, how can somebody take her from us?
Almost from the beginning, it seemed that police had questions that were not typical of their usual homicide cases.
There was no forced entry whatsoever. This is not a home invasion.
There was no broken windows. There was no busted in doors.
If this was a stranger, why wasn't there forced entry?
When they examine the devices of Christine and Joseph Ryan, they see there's a lot of communication between them.
It appears that Joe Ryan wasn't exactly an intruder. It looks like he and Christine might have been in contact before.
Joe Ryan had communications with a Christine Banfield on this website, a social media platform for people interested in sexual fetishes.
FetLife is an adult fetish website where people can go on it, set up an account, find people who are willing to carry out some kind of fantasy.
It seemed that he had coordinated a meeting with a Christine Banfield that day for rough sex.
Joseph Ryan, it's his understanding that he and Christine Banfield are going to fulfill some kind of rape fantasy that involves knives and restraints.
We discovered a Telegram message thread that was a continuation of the initial conversations that occurred through the FetLife site.
On Telegram, Christine's name was Anastasia. Anastasia says, "I'm excited but nervous." On February 22nd, this is 2 days before the attack, Anastasia says, "I can't wait for Friday." She says, "I probably will be a bit panicked. I think that is part of the fun of it."
Joseph sends a picture of all the equipment he intends to bring to their first encounter. The knife, the chain, the ropes.
On the day of, Joe says 7:30 ETA, traffic, exclamation point, to which Anastasia responds, "Okay, I'll be waiting for you." When you look at all these Telegram communications, it makes you wonder if this was a sexual encounter that the two of them had arranged and it just went awry.
Could she have had a side that you just didn't know about?
That story reeked from day one. I was like, this doesn't add up. This isn't right. This is not Christine.
Guys, are we ready? Okay.
My name is Deirdre Fisher. I am Joseph Nathan Ryan's mother. I would describe my son as somebody who was intelligent, caring, creative, somebody who embraced life, very high-spirited and playful. He did jiu-jitsu and mixed martial arts, and he also was an animal lover. He collected old, ugly dogs, rescue dogs, and he loved them.
Who's a spaz? Are you?
He was talkative and friendly. He was caring, and he was somebody who loved his family. And those are just some things about Joe that I want people to know. I first heard that something happened to my son a day and a half after he was murdered. I got a call on the phone. The lead detective told me Joe had been killed. And I do remember screaming, "No, no, no." I remember it. And I just continued to scream for a while.
I am the best friend of Joseph Ryan's mother. And I knew Joe most of his life, knew him well. He was like a nephew to me. We knew Joe wasn't capable of the heinous things Brendan had told them and that what Juliana had told them. Joe was one of the least violent people I've ever known.
This is a picture of me and Joe together. This is a picture I took of Joe right after he got this haircut. This was his favorite haircut of all time, and he's showing it off. I would describe Joe's personality as somewhere in between an extrovert and an introvert. He had moments of really sort of an entertaining personality. The rest of the time, Joe was sometimes quiet and like he did things like the Appalachian Trail by himself, weeks in the woods, climbing mountains.
He was a very unconventional person, and I admired that about him. Even as a kid, he knew who he was. He didn't care much about what the rest of the world thought.
Joe was kind of counterculture in some ways. He was not driven financially in any way. So he spent his life doing all kinds of jobs. He would work construction as a lifeguard, as a bouncer at times. He worked as a farmer. He took care of sick people sometimes. I'm a survivor of cancer twice, and Joe flew in to take care of me. And he offered to shave his head because I was bald at the time. And I said no.
I was taking a picture of them together, smiling. And after that first picture, Deirdre was like, oh, I want to put my wig on. You know, I'm a little self-conscious. And so Joe's like, well, I'm going to put your other wig on. And in camaraderie, took a picture with her other cancer wig, and they're smiling. That encapsulates who he was pretty well. Joe was very close to his mom. They shared their hopes and dreams and anything about their lives.
Joe could talk about any subject with me, so he began to tell me about his interest in BDSM. Joe described to me all the encounters that he had sexually as completely consensual. That was his thing. That was very important to him. He didn't want to push somebody to do something they didn't want to do. I knew Joe was very gentle as a person and concerned about the welfare of his romantic and sexual partners.
And Joe Ryan seemed to want to make sure anybody he was going to connect with was into it as well. He even messaged in a telegram message to Anastasia, I'm not interested in violating boundaries. And he goes on to say, I don't want to do this if you're having a panic attack or injured or something, right?
So the night before he died, he sent me a text and a picture, and he told me how proud of himself. He had lost weight, he was in shape, and he was really happy. He was in a good place. So that's the last picture of Joe before his death, the night before, to his mommy. You know, Joe's no kind of killer. He sent a picture to Mom and said how happy he was. And I'm glad he was happy the night before he died. On that day, I believe my son thought he was walking into a role play sex scene that was mutually beneficial to both parties. He thought he was going into a good time.
As the months go by and the investigation is continuing, there still are a lot of questions about Joseph Ryan, but there are questions about Christine Banfield too. What police need to do is figure out if this profile, Anastasia, on this website is consistent with Christine's character and what other people know about her.
I immediately knew this isn't the truth. There's got to be more to this story.
I was like, this doesn't add up. This isn't right. This is not Christine.
Could she have had a side that you just didn't know about?
I mean, it's always possible, but if she were ever gonna partake in something like that, she would definitely not do it in her own home, much less at 7, 8 o'clock in the morning as her child had just walked out the door. This was just completely out of character for her. Having an affair is one thing, but having an affair under the guise of a rape fantasy when her being the sexual assault nurse, it was not her. If she could never do anything like that.
So there may be mysteries about Christine Banfield. Who is Christine really? But there are questions about Brendan Banfield too.
As we're investigating, we start to discover things that occurred in the past in the marriage between Brendan Banfield and Christine Banfield.
It's critical for detectives to look into the background of all people who were present in the house to understand exactly what happened, because it's not always what it appears to be.
5 people were in the house, which included Christine Banfield, Brendan Banfield, the family's au pair, Juliana, Joseph Ryan, and the 4-year-old girl.
Brendan hires a lawyer, so his lawyer tells him, don't talk. That's not unusual. So on advice of counsel, he doesn't talk. So we don't really know anything from Brendan except what he said initially, which wasn't much.
As we're investigating, we start to discover things that occurred in the past in the marriage between Brendan Banfield and Christine Banfield.
Detectives doing what they do were able to find a woman who had a relationship with Brendan early in his marriage.
I got a chance to meet up with a woman who had actually had a relationship with Brendan. She had connected with Brendan 10 years before. It was the first time she had sat down on television, and she wanted to tell her story. But she was a little uncomfortable revealing her face. You rolling? Oh, you are? Okay. Are you okay with these shots?
Yes, this shot is fine.
And you're fine with us using your a pseudonym for you,
Correct,
Jennifer?
yes.
Okay, very good. So you ready to tell your story?
I am.
What kind of an impression did he give you?
I thought he was cute, attractive, and he just seemed nice. He was very flattering, you know, had nice things to say about me, which is always a plus.
Jennifer says she connected with him on a sugar baby website, a website for young women who want to date, but they want financial benefits. Was the expectation that it was dating or sex for hire?
It was more like relationship for hire. I didn't see it as sex work or anything like that. It was more just like, I just want you to take care of me.
How much did he pay you?
It wasn't like a life-changing amount of money. It was something like, if we met up for a weekend, like maybe $600 or something like that. And there were times like he gave me money like just as a gift, like go buy yourself something, or he would just buy me something.
She says he told her that he was married. Now, he gave her the impression that he was not really happy in his marriage, she says.
He kind of painted me a picture of what the marriage was like, which probably was false in retrospect. But, you know, he was like, oh, my wife, like, we don't even sleep in the same room anymore. We haven't even, like, been more than roommates for months and months.
So he gave you the impression that he was in an unhappy marriage and...
Yeah, very much. He would just tell me about negative things and what things he didn't like about her. I realize now it was like a carefully curated viewpoint, like for my benefit.
He was married, so how did he find time to spend long days or maybe even a weekend with you?
Well, his wife, she's a nurse, and she had a job at the time that involved a lot of time away from home.
Did you go to his home ever?
I did, all the time. He was very nonchalant about having me in his home. It didn't bother him at all. And, you know, he would do these very detailed, like, cleanings after I leave because I have a different colored hair from his wife. So, you know, there's, like, he called it CSI sweep, which was really stupid. But, you know, it was just, like, I think he almost liked it. It was almost like a game to him. It was kind of, like, there's a thrill, I think, to doing forbidden things, right?
Jennifer says that Brendan told her that he wanted to divorce his wife, but no divorce happens. And she says that he was really sort of obsessed with money and worried about money.
He, I guess, was under the impression that he'd be giving up far more money than he ought to if they went through a divorce, so he just didn't want to give up a penny that he didn't have to.
Their affair is going on and going strong, and Jennifer says one day Christine comes home and finds them there.
I heard the door opening, and I, like, kind of half-heartedly tried to, like, hide in a corner somewhere while they were talking, but, you know, he was like, you can come out now, and in a way, it was like she scolded me, and, you know, she was like, you don't understand how hard I work for this family, and, you know, that you can just like waltz in here and just like have fun like this while I'm working hard and trying to make money for our family. I was just like, oh, this is very, very weird for me, and I would like to leave, so I left. And then he was like, yeah, I'm gonna need to talk to her. But then I found out later that it was more of just like, you know, he was just like reassuring his wife that they were like, the marriage was still okay, that, you know, he was really, really sorry, but it was just like a one-time fling.
She says they were dating for about a year, and then she says he dumps her. Years have gone by. Jennifer has moved on from Brendan, and then she happens to come across this article, and she reads Brendan's name. She couldn't believe it.
The circumstances of what I was reading were very bizarre, and I was like, this is not normal. Like, there's something weird about the situation.
Jennifer tells me this was so unsettling that she reached out to a detective on the case.
I just wanted to reveal a piece of information that he had an affair before.
You wanted investigators to know what his character was all about.
Right, like, yeah.
It was important for Jennifer to come forward because it shows that Brendan is not true to his wife. He also didn't speak so well about Christine.
Christine's friends, the nurses who worked alongside her, said Christine often talked about infidelity, how she was so sickened by it.
We were sharing stories about other people we knew and the lengths that they would go to hide their affairs. And she used the word disgusting. That's the most disgusting thing that somebody could do to their partner.
Did she ever let on whether she worried her husband might be?
No.
It's okay. Were you here when it happened, or did
When Juliana was interviewed initially by detectives, she denied having any type of sexual relationship with Brendan Banfield. She described their relationship as he is her employer and she is his au pair.
She denied having an affair with him. But then they find pictures and video that tell a very different story.
For a while, the case didn't have a lot of developments.
There was no arrest. I just was afraid there wouldn't be justice for Joe. It was very difficult. It was very, very difficult.
It's been a few months since Christine was killed in her home, and her husband, Brendan, is still living in the house with their daughter. What was Brendan like during this period, trying to care for his daughter, having lost his wife? What was he like?
He would say to me, you know, like, this is one of the first times in my life where I really feel kind of lost, or I like don't know what to do. I know he even like showed me how his bedroom, which had been completely gutted out, and how he was getting it redone. And I thought, I guess if you're still gonna somehow live in this house, trying to make the best of the situation.
And interestingly, Juliana, the au pair, is still living in this house too.
Law enforcement continues their investigation. They're also looking at Juliana's social media. There are a lot of photos of what you would imagine a 22-year-old woman posting, but as they look at those photos, they see someone that they believe looks like Brendan, but having strategic emojis or pictures posted over his face.
There was some items of clothing, a watch, and other items that led us to suspect that it may be Brendan Banfield. And we discovered that Juliana had told her friend about the affair she was having.
That becomes the basis of a search warrant to get Juliana's social media. And what the police find is a lot of evidence that she was having an intimate relationship with Brendan.
Prosecutors had said that they found photos of them, you know, out in public.
Among the photos the police found on one of Juliana's devices was photos of a trip that Juliana and Brendan took, and they took Brendan's daughter in October 2022, before the murders.
Juliana and Brendan Banfield took a trip together to New York. They suggested that this was more than just a fling, that this was a relationship.
Brendan and Juliana had been having an affair. The police think at least 6 months before Christine was killed.
And from there, this blows open the case in a whole different way. This leads them to believe maybe there's something more here. Maybe there's a motive that they didn't see at first.
You're watching 7 News.
A family's au pair is now charged with shooting and killing a man in a Reston home.
The Fairfax County Police Department announced today they made a new arrest in that case, and they're charging the family's au pair with second-degree murder.
8 months after the homicides, Juliana's arrested and charged with second-degree murder for the death of Joseph Ryan.
Juliana pleads not guilty.
I'm Jenna Sands, and I am the Chief Deputy Commonwealth's Attorney for Fairfax County. We knew that Juliana was responsible for the death of Joseph Ryan.
It turns out that on the day of the shooting, Juliana tells the police on the scene that she shot Joe Ryan too.
Yeah, and Brendan said, no, police don't drop the knife, and I think Brendan shot him, and he asked me help, shot him too.
She said from the very beginning that Brendan shot Joe Ryan first, and she shot him second.
Juliana told police Joseph Ryan. He's on the ground. He's bleeding. And then they hear a moan from Joseph Ryan. Juliana is then directed by Brendan Banfield to go into the closet and get another gun. And according to police, Juliana fired that fatal blow and killed Joseph Ryan.
We knew that she had shot Joe in that room, and we did not have a reasonable defense that we could imagine for her, given the evidence.
When we arrested Juliana, we followed up with another search warrant at the residence. And when we went into the house, the first thing that I think all the investigators noticed was all the pictures of Christine were gone. Then we went up into the primary bedroom. On the nightstand next to the bed was a photograph of Brendan Banfield and Juliana in a romantic kind of embrace, like a couple. It was a picture of a couple. And when we looked around the rest of the room, inside the closet, throughout the room, we found Juliana's clothing, Juliana's lingerie. Juliana had effectively replaced Christine.
And when you saw those photos?
Disgusted. You're really gonna move into the master bedroom a few months after the woman who hired you to come in and take care of your child dies and is murdered in that same bedroom? No.
It's so insulting. It's insulting to Christine's memory. Not only that, Christine's family, and most of all, Christine's daughter.
There was no trace of her. There was no photographs. There was no memorial. It was as if she had never existed in the first place.
And then police discover something else that sets off alarm bells.
At Juliana's pretrial hearing, it comes out that she went to a shooting range with Brendan twice before Christine is killed, in October and December. And she, in fact, has a photo of herself firing a gun that she posts on social media.
When you combine that with the fact that he never took his wife shooting, it really points in the direction of a plot.
Juliana could serve a lot of time for this.
If convicted, it's a minimum of 5 years in prison with a maximum of 40 years.
Police are still suspicious of Brendan, and now they're zeroing in on another 911 call, one made on the morning of the killings, a full 15 minutes before that other one that she made asking for help.
County 911, where's your emergency?
We could hear in that call what sounded like a man moaning.
It's very revealing. The question is, what happened in those 15 minutes?
Here we go.
It's the new year, 2023, and Christine Banfield is very excited. In fact, she even posted on her social media, 2022 was pretty awesome. Let's see if 2023 can top it. just a few weeks later, she would be dead.
Fairfax County Police are still investigating who killed a woman inside that home.
It just seems like she was so looking forward to the next year.
Yeah, it's incredibly tragic now, looking back on it.
A woman working as an au pair for a family in Herndon has been arrested and charged for a fatal shooting.
While Juliana was in jail, Brendan was living a version of a normal life. Not quite the life that he had led before, but somewhat normal. He was no longer IRS law enforcement. He was making money as a delivery driver, living with his daughter and his mother in the house, coaching sports for his daughter.
At the point in time that we arrested Juliana, we still couldn't tie Brendan to it until we had had the opportunity to really work that scene, to go through it with a fine-tooth comb. But when we received all of that evidence, that's when we were able to take the next step.
We've got shocking new details tonight in a double murder in Reston. We've been following this for more than a year now.
570 days after the murders, Brendan Banfield is indicted for aggravated murder.
Brendan Banfield pleads not guilty.
We have evidence to now allege that Christine Banfield's life was unlawfully taken and Joseph Ryan's life was unlawfully taken.
You have anything you want to say?
I was happy. I was celebrating. I couldn't have been more thrilled.
That's when I was like, yes, finally, they got this guy.
What did you make of that? This is the man you thought you knew to be this upstanding guy.
Basically thinking that, wow, we're like me and so many other people wrong about him all this time.
Just a few hours from now, a husband accused of killing his wife and another man is due back in a Fairfax County courtroom for a bond hearing.
The police theory and their evidence to prove it is that Brendan was the mastermind behind an incredibly intricate, detailed plan to kill his wife.
It's digital evidence, it's physical evidence, it's forensics evidence, it's circumstantial evidence, but the work still goes on.
Police and the prosecution believe that Brendan created or used a FetLife account posing as Christine.
He created a fictitious account in his wife's name, portraying her image.
Using this catfish scheme in order to lure an unsuspecting sexual partner to have this kind of violent sex act that would presumably look like he was assaulting her.
Make it look like he was an intruder. Shoot Joseph Ryan, the so-called intruder, and then stab Christine.
Brendan's plan was to replace his wife with Juliana.
More details come out about what exactly happened that morning in the hour or so before the murders. We learned that Brendan Banfield left and went to McDonald's and ordered a breakfast sandwich and stayed there for 20 minutes. And Juliana said she was going to take the little girl to the zoo for an outing, but she didn't. She stayed in a cul-de-sac watching the house. Brendan had unlocked the door using Christine's phone. He had shut her phone off and put it in a drawer off the kitchen.
As Juliana waited, she saw Joseph Ryan arrive. She then called Brendan. He then meets with Juliana and his daughter, and they sneak around the back of the house, where they enter through the basement entrance. Brendan goes upstairs first, followed shortly by Juliana, where they open the door of the primary bedroom, and Brendan shoots Joseph Ryan, then takes a knife that was brought by Joseph Ryan as part of a scripted sexual foreplay, and he begins to stab Christine.
Police are looking at everything, but now they are laser focused on a quick call to 911 made from Juliana's phone a full 15 minutes before that other one that she made asking for help.
Fairfax County 911, where's your emergency? Hello, Fairfax County 911.
It's only 8 seconds long, and you can hear moaning in the background. And now police realize that's probably Joseph Ryan moaning in the background. The call is hung up. Dispatchers try to call back.
Hello, Hello, this is Fairfax County 911. We had a call from this number. If you have an emergency, please hang up and dial 911. This call was made in error. You can disregard this message. Thank you.
Prosecutors say the initial 911 call was made too soon, that Juliana called before everything was properly laid out.
What we think happened between the two 911 calls was that Brendan gives the signal to Juliana to hang up the phone. And at that point in time, Joe is now dead, Christine is dying, and Brendan manipulates the scene. We think that he picks up enough of Christine's blood to be able to leave traces of it on Joseph Ryan.
Prosecutors say that Banfield smeared it on Joseph Ryan to make it look like he was the one stabbing Christine.
Now there are two people sitting in jail awaiting their murder trials.
Yeah, get your breath.
But is one of them gonna flip?
I was going to bury Joe's ashes, and I just couldn't let him go. So we're looking at half of Joe's ashes. It sits on top of a dresser in my living room. And every day I say hi to Joe. And then every night I'd say goodnight to him. And I'll wave at the box.
Tonight, a major new development in a 2023 double murder in Reston.
It's now been more than a year and a half into this investigation. And now a big turn. Juliana is actually offered a plea deal.
According to my sources, the Fairfax County Commonwealth's attorney offered this plea deal to Juliana Perez Maglahays in exchange for her testimony against Brendan Banfield.
There'd been a lot of discussion about how we could get her to turn. There were discussions that sounded a whole lot like dating advice. Leave her alone. She'll come to us, give her time. She'll make the right choice. We heard from her attorney after we had charged Brendan Banfield that she was finally ready to confess.
Yeah, get your breath.
So in order to get this deal, Juliana has to sit down with prosecutors and law enforcement. She's got to come clean with everything, and she has to be truthful.
Have you had, to your satisfaction, full and fair opportunity to consult with your lawyers?
Yes. The idea was for her to tell us in her own words exactly what she remembered so that we would know that it was reliable.
She told us that the trip to New York was the time when Brendan first talked to her openly about his plan to kill Christine.
He basically told me, I want to tell you something, but I don't want you to be afraid or scared or leave me. I said, okay, you can tell me whatever. And then he said, I don't want Christine in our lives. And then I asked him, we're going to divorce her. And then he said, I don't want Sherman because it would be easier if she was not in the picture.
Juliana corroborates this catfish theory.
He told me that he was going to create an account on the website, FetLife.
Where in the house were you predominantly when he is on FetLife?
It was mostly in the basement. We sit there and then was with her laptop. He said he needed to find a person who likes to play like blood, play with knife and stuff like that, play violent.
This whole plan was designed to a T to kind of cover their tracks.
Basically, like after a while talking to Joe, he said, he's the right person. Joe is the right person.
Juliana was the one person who could tell us exactly what Brendan Banfield's role was in it, and we knew him to be largely the hand that was moving the pieces on this particular chessboard.
He just told me, I wish I didn't need you, but I need you to do this with me. I can't do it without you. And I said, what do you mean? Why you can do it without me? And he said, because something goes wrong, I need you to have my back.
Can you tell me the words that he used in terms of how he intended on killing her?
Like stabbing her?
Did he say where he intended on stabbing her, how he intended on stabbing her?
Yeah, he was going to stab her on the neck, just like he did. He was just expecting Joe to bring a pointy knife instead of, the knife to like chop vegetables, which would be easier.
So what did Joe Ryan say during the time when Brendan Banfield comes in?
He looked at us like surprised, like shocked that there were other people in the bedroom. And then that's when Brendan just shot him.
Hearing Juliana describe Christine's last moments was absolutely gut-wrenching. She is describing the moment a mother lost her life.
He was stabbing her and then she was just telling him, let me go, I'm gonna die anyways. I'm gonna bleed to death. She was just, leave me here, let me die. And then he was telling her, I can't.
This is pretty heartbreaking stuff. Juliana even tells prosecutors that Christine, while she's dying, is talking about her daughter's birthday coming up. She's about to turn 5.
She said something about birthday because it's going to be the next month in March. Based on him, like, it has to be before birthday. Why?
I can only imagine that her last thoughts were of her daughter. Sorry, that's right.
Juliana accepts a plea deal and ultimately agrees to plead guilty to involuntary manslaughter. And on top of that, prosecutors say they will recommend a sentence of time served, meaning no more prison time, and she'd be immediately deported back to Brazil.
Which means as soon as this trial is done, she's free, as long as she testifies against Brendan Banfield in his trial.
I don't know where the justice in that is. How do you get to plan a murder and think that you're gonna live a life, her life essentially, and walk away after a couple years?
In less than 12 hours, the trial of Brendan Banfield will get underway.
It's been nearly 3 years since the murders. The case is finally headed to trial. And the defense is about to make the argument that nothing is what it appears to be. Even the police can't seem to agree on exactly what happened here.
There was a divide amongst investigators.
Our supervisor at the time told us there were 2 theories in the case and we needed to get behind the right one.
While awaiting trial, Brendan Banfield is indicted on 2 more felony charges.
Prosecutors file another indictment, charging him with felony child cruelty and felony child abuse.
And this is because he had this remarkably intricate plan to kill his wife and did it with his daughter in the house.
Brendan Banfield pleads not guilty to the additional charges, too. The investigation is ongoing, and something unusual is playing out. Detectives are divided on whether this catfishing theory is even legit.
Brendan Miller is a forensic investigator within the police department that is investigating Brendan Banfield.
This is a man who looked at every cell phone, every laptop in the Banfield home.
He wrote a report associated with this case. The key line and conclusion in Miller's report is that there's no indication at any point in time that Christine lost control or contact with her own devices.
So if Christine always had control of her devices, then the whole theory of the case falls apart.
After Brendan Miller releases this report to law enforcement, he's removed from this case and transferred to another section of the detectives unit.
It created this atmosphere that, like, maybe police want to find facts to fit their theory, not go where the facts lead them. It raises the question, could Christine have actually set up this profile? Did she really invite Joseph Ryan to the house?
In less than 12 hours, the trial of Brendan Banfield will get underway. Banfield is the man accused of killing his wife and another man in an effort to run away with the family's au pair.
The judge who's presiding over the case is Penny Ascarati. She's a former Marine. She's a no-nonsense judge. She is familiar to people who saw the Johnny Depp-Amber Heard trial.
Jurors in Depp and Amber Heard's multi-million-dollar defamation trial are taking their time.
In opening statement, the goal is really to introduce the jury to the story that's going to be told.
Brendan Banfield killed his wife, Christine Banfield, and another man named Joseph Ryan. And he convinced young Juliana, 22 years old, that they should get rid of Christine. They would use Christine's email accounts to create a fake profile, to lure someone in to come into the house and fake rape Christine. Brendan would be the hero of the day. He would show up, kill the guy, kill his wife, pretending that it had been that guy. That was the plan.
Banfield's defense attorney, John Carroll, says that Juliana cannot be trusted because she's testifying for her life.
The whole reason she was arrested was to flip her against my client.
He moved on to say that the prosecution's case rests on this idea that there was some sort of catfishing scheme.
But yet, one of the critical detectives, the forensic examiner in the case, the original one, said, no, that's not right.
And so then started the turmoil within the police department. You're going to see manipulation within the police department where if homicide detectives didn't agree with this theory, they were transferred.
Early on in the prosecution's case, the jury hears the 911 calls.
I need help. My friend, she just was stuck in the night now. She's bleeding a lot.
Brendan is sitting at the table, crying.
There's somebody here. I got him.
The best way to tell this story was to put the good evidence out in front. And Juliana was our best evidence. She was our storyteller. We called Juliana to the stand the first day.
She needs to deliver. This is a big moment.
As Juliana walked past Brendan, his eyes tracked her.
Brendan tried to connect with her, lock eyes with her. Juliana didn't give him a second glance.
You swear or affirm to testify truthfully in this case under penalty of law?
Yes.
Thank you.
Or you can have a seat. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
We had her first describe how her relationship with Brendan had developed.
When you first met Mr. Banfield, what was your relationship to him?
It's professional. He was my boss. Brendan and I barely spoke at all.
At some point, did your relationship with the defendant change?
It became sexual.
Did he ever talk about his relationship with his wife, Christine Banfield?
He used to say that she didn't seem to care about where he was, what he was doing. She didn't seem to care about him at all.
Juliana testified that divorce was not an option for Brendan, primarily because he would lose custody or have to share custody of his daughter with his wife.
Did he tell you what he wanted to do?
He mentioned his plan to get rid of her.
The trial is now at a critical point. Jurors are on the edges of their seats because Juliana is about to tell the jury what she says happened in that bedroom.
She was extremely nervous, but she wanted to tell the truth.
When I first saw that happening, I was just crouching down, covering my ears and covering my eyes.
And now to more stunning revelations from the double murder trial playing out in Fairfax County.
Juliana Perez Magalhaes is still on the stand on direct examination, and she tells the jury that when Brendan first talked to her about killing his wife, she didn't take him seriously.
At first, I thought he was joking. He had heard of a website called Fat Life.
Were you present when he created the FetLife account?
Yes, he created a new email account for Christine in Christine's name.
Juliana explains that as a part of this plan, Brendan creates this profile, this Anastasia 9.
How did the two of you use her laptop without her knowing about it?
Every time she used to get home from work, she'd throw her backpack by the door. In the backpack was her laptop.
Joseph Ryan was really just one out of many, many people that they spoke to, and the only one who was willing to follow the rules. Joe Ryan didn't need to meet in advance. Joe Ryan was happy to come to a house that he didn't know. Joe Ryan was willing to come at odd hours, specifically this early morning meetup.
He made Brendan feel confident enough that he would be the person to play the role and come over to the house.
She goes on to say that she and Brendan were so determined to make sure that this meeting was going to happen that she jumps on a call with Joe Ryan, pretending to be Christine.
As soon as I said hi, he was surprised that I had an accent.
Juliana testifies that February 24th arrives, the day that this plan was supposed to be executed. She wakes up early, preparing the 4-year-old daughter for this fake trip to the zoo.
She testifies that Christine had the day off and wanted to sleep in.
According to Juliana, that morning Brendan messaged Joe Ryan with Christine's phone and then shut the phone off and put it in a drawer. And he left and went to McDonald's, where he was going to wait for her call.
What, if anything, did he give you in that morning before the two of you left?
Gun.
Juliana's plan that morning was for her to take the child, to get into her car, and to wait in the cul-de-sac until she saw Joe Ryan arrive.
The zoo was the cover, and as part of that, she was going to bring some lunches that she packed and left in the refrigerator so that she would have a reason to be loitering outside in the cul-de-sac.
That's when I saw Joe pulling in the driveway, and I called Brendan. He told me he would be coming home.
Juliana testified that when Brendan got back to the house from McDonald's, the two of them left the cars, bringing the child with them.
And then the three of them went in the back of the house, left the little girl in the basement, and went upstairs.
He took his gun out. I just did the same. I just followed him to the master bedroom.
Juliana goes on to say that she and Brendan burst into the bedroom and find Joe Ryan there with Christine.
And she yelled back at Brendan, saying, "Brendan, he has a knife." That's when Brendan first shot Joe. Brendan ran to Christine. She told me, "Juliana, call 911."
She testified that in the moment when Christine shouted, "Juliana, call 911, she instinctively did it.
And that's where you have our very brief recording in which you hear Joseph Ryan moaning in the background.
County 911, where's your emergency?
Brendan looks at me and just hung up the call.
Well, the police theory is that the scene wasn't ready yet for the police to show up. Brendan needed time to stage it.
He got on top of her, and that's when I first saw him stab her with a knife.
Juliana testified Brendan picked up the knife that Joe Ryan had brought to the house and that he began stabbing Christine. Juliana turned away. She said that it was hard to watch. She testified that Joe moved and that she told Brendan that he was moving.
That's when I fired the shot too.
So she shot him. She just shot him.
The defense definitely had a strategy when it came to Juliana, trying to give the jury a motive for why this witness is lying.
On cross-examination, the defense attorney asked Juliana why she waited so long to cooperate.
The feeling of shame and guilt, and also because I had a potential of getting less time.
And the defense tried to get Juliana to lay out some of the details of this plan. Many times she just said, "I don't know."
Who took the laptop from wherever it was that Christina thought it was?
That day, I do not remember. I can't tell you for sure. I can tell you the date.
I mean, with all due respect, you don't remember a lot of details.
Yeah.
And that's what's really concerning about this.
And I'm telling you that I do not recall.
Juliana has really damaged Brendan with her testimony, if she's believed. So the big question now is, will Brendan Banfield take the stand?
Anytime a defendant wishes to testify at trial, there's a hold your breath moment. Is this really a good idea? But at the same time, it was exciting.
All right, call Brendan Banfield.
It's been 4 days of testimony, more than a dozen witnesses, and the prosecution is resting its case. Now, time for the defense.
As John Carroll begins his case, the argument is that the prosecution and law enforcement had blinders on.
We had a briefing within the first week. Our supervisor at the time told us there were two theories in the case and we needed to get behind the right one.
The internal politics that John Carroll introduced to the trial were complete distraction efforts. One of the theories we were examining was that Brendan was telling the truth. So we examined a ton of theories, but ultimately we're examining the evidence.
The defense called Detective Brendan Miller as their own witness. He's the forensic examiner who wrote the report concluding that Christine, in his opinion, always had control of her devices.
Did you make any conclusions at that time that she had not given up her devices?
I had nothing indicating loss of dominion and control at that time.
So your conclusions based on zeros and ones are still the same?
Yes.
The defense calls their own expert to basically verify or agree with Miller's original conclusion.
Were you able to draw any opinions related to this case?
Catfishing did not occur. I didn't see anything here that indicated loss of control of device.
The digital forensic evidence was simply inconclusive because Brendan Banfield had been so careful in his planning. You could never point to one person as being the sole operator of the device at the time that the messages were sent.
And you can't say who was in control of either device. All you can tell us is what the devices are doing. Correct?
Correct.
All right, Mr. Banfield, do you understand you have a constitutional right not to testify?
Yes, ma'am.
Anytime a defendant wishes to testify at trial, there's a hold your breath moment.
All right, call Brendan Banfield.
This is a big moment. Brendan Banfield has not spoken to police, he has not shared his story. Now he's about to take the stand, talking for the first time.
Brendan Banfield does this defense that we call, my hands are dirty but not bloody, because he's saying I've done some bad things.
We were having an affair.
Now, was Christine aware of your affair?
I don't believe she was aware of the affair between me and Juliana. She was aware of at least 2 previous affairs.
So Brendan stays on the stand over 2 days, and he told jurors that he's had affairs in the past. He admitted to it, but he said his wife has also had affairs in the past.
There was a point a number of years ago that Christine had indicated that she was interested in bondage type situations.
In terms of your sexual relationship with Christine, what, if any, differences did you have?
I was not interested in ever harming her. I was never interested in sexual violence.
In our detective's examination of Christine Banfield's digital life, there was absolutely no evidence of her having been involved or even interested in rough sex.
Christine never mentioned to me anything about any affairs. I would be the one she would share it with, and there was never any secrets.
Did you ever create any sort of a plan with Juliana?
No, there was no plan. I think that it's an absurd line of questioning.
Regarding the day of, Brendan had an explanation for the jury.
Brendan testifies that when he pulls up to the house and sees this strange car, he doesn't call 911 right away because he says that he thinks maybe his wife is having another indiscretion.
It wasn't on my mind that this was some type of violent or threatening encounter. I was emotional at that point.
Brendan says that he enters the house through the basement door, and then he sees Juliana and his daughter behind him.
I never told her to come down to the house.
Brendan leaves Juliana and Banfield's daughter in the basement.
He goes upstairs and into the bedroom.
Christine was nude and on all fours. And Joe Ryan was behind her. I don't know that I've ever been more panicked in my life. Almost immediately, I said police. I saw him do a downward stabbing stroke, and that's when I fired at him. Christine told me that she was bleeding out, and that she was sorry and that she loved me.
Brendan notices that Juliana is now in the bedroom with him.
I told Juliana to call 911. She went into the master bathroom.
Brendan says that while he's tending to his wife, he feels something on his back.
Joe Ryan struck me in my shoulder.
All of a sudden, a gunshot.
And I looked up and I saw that Juliana had my other firearm. I was stunned that Juliana had shot.
As John Carroll is finishing his direct examination of Brendan Banfield, I'm ready.
Your Honor, I have no further questions.
Cross-examination?
There were a number of things that I wanted to push on.
He's asked, well, you know, you've explained a couple of stab wounds. She had 7 stab wounds.
When did he stab her those other 5 times?
The knife is inside of her hair. I can't tell the movement, and I don't know exactly what happened before I arrived either.
Okay, well, she had to get 5 more wounds at some point.
Prosecutors are hammering away at Brendan, and they press him on his story that Christine was awake and on her devices on the morning that she was killed.
Would it surprise you if the digital forensics would show that she was not on her phone at 6:30 or really any time before or after that?
I saw her with her phone. Okay. It was on the bed.
Got it. Okay, so she was just with the phone, not using the phone.
Yes.
The prosecutor is really questioning Brendan's behavior. He sees Juliana in the basement, with his daughter, doesn't tell her, go back to the car.
Why wouldn't you tell the babysitter to take your daughter back outside?
I believe that she was safe in the basement. I thought they were okay there.
Common sense. I mean, what we know of how people behave just never made sense with what Brendan Banfield had done.
Thank you. Nothing further, Judge.
The jurors now have heard 2 vastly different versions of what happened.
Each of you must decide this case for yourself. I can excuse you now to deliberate.
Please be seated and come to order.
The case has gone on for 9 days. Now, it's that final moment. Both sides have their final arguments to make before the jury.
Brendan Banfield killed both Christine Banfield and Joseph Ryan. He was in love with Juliana. He was afraid of losing her. He needed to get rid of his wife so that they could be together. Brendan let Juliana take the fall. It's his turn to be held accountable.
John Carroll argued in closings that Juliana had ulterior motives, that she wanted to go back to Brazil, and saying what prosecutors wanted her to say was her ticket to going home.
Juliana made it up. She told the Commonwealth what they wanted to hear. She told this lie to secure herself a deal.
He argued that officials rushed to judgment in this case and transferred people out who did not support the conclusion that they had.
The one detective who stood up and said the evidence contradicted her story was transferred off a case.
After both sides have their last words to tell their story, then it's all to the jury.
The fate of the man accused in a high-profile double murder case now in the hands of a jury.
After nearly 9 hours of deliberation, the jury reached a verdict, and everyone rushed into the courtroom.
We turn now to the verdict in the case of that husband and father in Virginia, accused of killing his wife so he could have a new life with his au pair.
We, the jury, in the case of the Commonwealth of Virginia versus Brendan Robert Banfield, defendant, find the defendant guilty of aggravated murder of Joseph Ryan and Christine Banfield.
The jury finding him guilty on all counts just a short time ago.
At the end of the day, I am very, very pleased that we are able to stand here successfully having gotten justice for Joe Ryan and Christine Banfield.
Brendan will be sentenced in May, but just days ago, Juliana was back in court, finally learning her fate.
I'm truly sorry for the pain it caused. I hope someday I can be forgiven.
Your actions were deliberate, self-serving, and demonstrated a profound disregard for human life. Therefore, I do sentence you to 10 years in the penitentiary. May it weigh heavily on your soul.
I believe she is equally as responsible for my son's death. She's a cold-blooded killer.
Joe Ryan, for his loved ones, they don't want him forgotten.
I want people to know Joe was a good son, that he loved people, and that he didn't deserve this.
Christine's family has mostly been quiet about the loss, but they just sent us a statement talking about her, saying she loved her family deeply and was devoted to her marriage. Christine suffered a violent, horrific, senseless death. The lies told about her after her murder were just as painful as her death. We are committed to ensuring that Christine will always be remembered as the beautiful person she was.
There's so many things that remind me of her. A Backstreet Boys song will come on. Everybody, rock your body right. Remembering her laugh. And sometimes I could look at a picture and I hear it because it was a pretty great laugh.
What do you want her daughter to know about her?
How much she loved and adored her.
You have a necklace that she shared with you.
Her daughter had made me this necklace that says family.
Which was sort of the focus of Christine's life.
Her daughter was her absolute world. Her daughter's the reason that she lived every day. She loved her so much.
And that's our program for tonight. Thank you for watching. I'm David.
Sunrise, sneaking through the curtains. Coffee cup cooling on the side. You're still tangled in that blanket. I'm still tangled in your mind. Bare feet on cold kitchen tile. You call my name through a sleepy smile. Wake me up, baby, like you always do. Kiss me till the morning, feels brand new. Shake my bones, my lazy heart. Pull me in and restart. Wake me up, baby, wake me up with you. Phone keeps buzzing on the dresser. World keeps yelling at the door. But your hand slips under my sweater, and I don't need much more. Burnt toast, laugh it off together. Wrong song playing, we sing it better. Wake me up, baby, like you always do. Kiss me till the morning, feels brand new. Shake my bones, my lazy heart. Pull me in and restart. Wake me up, baby, wake me up with you. Don't need alarm, just your breath on my neck. That sleepy head got me losing my step. If this is all we ever get to do, I'll fall asleep just to wake up next to you. Wake me up, baby, like you always do.
And I did. And
kiss me till the morning.
All but one person on that list is innocent.
Shake my bones, my lazy heart. Pull me in and restart. Wake me up, baby, wake me up with you. Wake me up, wake me up.
In 1997,
just want
Welcome to our first ever podcast episode. Thanks for tuning in. My name is Jessa.
And I'm Lexi.
And we're sisters.
I think there's a new generation who's into the JonBenet Ramsey case, who were her age and were told to stay inside by their parents when she was murdered.
I think, yeah, growing up it scared me a little bit because we were the same age and, you know, same state and blonde hair, blue eye, you know, it was a little bit scary.
I remember thinking that I could not believe that this happened like so close to our home. You think that your home is safe, that this place is safe, and you just don't think that it could have happened here, and it did.
The murder took place sometime between 10 p.m. on December 25th and 5:30 a.m. on December 26th, 1996.
They know a lot about the case. My two girls, they loved their grandfather.
Our grandfather was a detective on one of the biggest unsolved murders in our generation, the JonBenet Ramsey murder. And with this podcast, we want to talk about the JonBenet Ramsey case from our grandfather, Lou Smith's perspective.
Lou Smith was a really legendary detective from Colorado that was brought in early to investigate the homicide.
Once he got a hold of a case, he never let go, and he had great attention to detail.
Lou Smith made an 8-hour video presentation that includes notes on the case, potential suspects, the evidence he collected over the years. It's a virtual encyclopedia of the JonBenet Ramsey case.
My name is Lou Smith. I'm a retired homicide detective from the Colorado Springs Police Department, and I have worked the Ramsey case now for approximately 10 years. What I'm going to do today is to just show a presentation that was made back in 1998.
He had a history of closing cases. He had a 90% success rate.
He advocated for the victim and stood in their shoes.
So that's why we've chosen The Victim's Shoes as our podcast name. This really meant something to him, and he really felt he needed to find the killer of this little girl, and he needed to do that for JonBenet.
And first and foremost, we wanted to continue our grandpa's legacy. That was one thing he asked for before he died. He wants the case to remain alive.
There's a saying here in Colorado that Boulder is 30 square miles of fantasy surrounded by reality.
It's very wealthy, it's well-to-do.
Boulder looked like something out of a storybook in many ways, especially the neighborhood in which the Ramseys lived.
John and Patsy Ramsey lived in a 6,700 square feet Tudor there on 15th Street.
What I'd like to do first is to just talk a little bit about the Ramsey family. John Ramsey had interest in sailing and flying. Patsy Ramsey was the mother.
John and Patsy Ramsey had 2 children together. Their firstborn was Burke, 9 years old, and JonBenet, 6.5, in kindergarten.
I'm a daughter. I'm a sister. I'm a friend. I'm a wife and a mother. John used to just tell people that I invested in futures, the futures of my children. That's how I usually answer my occupation.
My name is John Andrew Ramsey. JonBenet's half-brother. JonBenet would go around and ask everybody how their day was and what they did, and he was just an energetic and fun kid.
By all accounts, they were a happy couple. Patsy was a high society woman from Atlanta. John was a smart guy who had just been nominated or voted as Entrepreneur of the Year.
Patsy Ramsey was a stylish woman. She was a former beauty queen, Miss West Virginia.
Oh, that is interesting, because the case had gained so much attention because JonBenet was in pageants.
By the time JonBenet was 4 years old, she was in the pageant system with big hair and lots of makeup.
I think it starts with the video of JonBenet. It starts with the fact that you have this beauty pageant video of a 6-year-old. That is where this starts, is people start saying, what's that about? How could that have played in?
I think it also touches on parents who have young kids, like, could this happen to me?
I really believe that if we hadn't seen the beauty pageant photos of JonBenet Ramsey, it might have just gone into the ether as another child murder. Hundreds of children are murdered in America every year. But this one captivated us because we saw the beauty pageant pictures.
Hello, I'm Patsy Ramsey. This is JonBenet. She's 4, Burke is 7.
Well, Christmas seemed to be kind of a crescendo for our family. It just became this moment that we all look forward to, and it's a day of peace and quiet.
Christmas was Patsy's favorite time, and she really went all out. She had a Christmas tree for every room, and every tree had a theme. The windows were done with garland, the staircases had garland, there were red ribbons everywhere.
Everything was about entertaining, and she loved people. She loved to make people feel good.
And from all of us at our house to everyone at your house, Merry Christmas and the happiest of New Year's.
There was plenty to celebrate in the Ramsey home. Patsy Ramsey had recently been declared clear of this ovarian cancer that she had battled. And that was a huge relief to come back from stage 4 cancer. Plenty to celebrate that Christmas.
So on Christmas Day, the Ramsey family opened presents at their home that morning. Patsy made pancakes, JonBenet rode her bike around on the patio, and both JonBenet and Burke had friends over to play that morning.
The kids went outside to play with their friends with their new presents. They were going to a friend's house for dinner that night.
We were going to leave early the next morning for a trip to our summer cottage in Michigan. It was going to be the first time we'd gotten all of our family together in Michigan for kind of a post-Christmas celebration. So we came home, went to bed. JonBenet was asleep when we arrived home. We took her to bed, got Burke to bed, set the alarm, and went to sleep.
The next morning, Patsy was up first.
You get up, you're dressed, what happens?
I went down our steps from our bedroom to the second floor. Then I started walking down the spiral staircase. And as I came to the bottom of the stairs, there were 3 pages neatly laid across one of the runs of the stairway.
She picked up the note and she started to read it.
I just remember when I read, "We have your daughter," it just, this overwhelming fear.
And then?
Then I just screamed for John, screamed.
We have a kidnapping. Hurry, please explain to me what's going on. What's your name? Are you Patsy Ramsey? I'm the mother. Oh my God!
I was the call taker that night shift when the call came in.
Police, what's going on? 515th Street. What's going on there, ma'am? We have a kidnapping. Hurry, please. Explain to me what's going on, okay? There's a note left and our daughter's gone. There's a ransom note here. It's a ransom note? Oh my God! Please.
She's hysterical, and she says there's a kidnapping.
Please. I'm sending an officer over, okay? Please. Do you know how long she's been gone? No, I don't. Please, we just got out. Is she right here? Oh my God, please.
The note said, if you do anything, if police come, if FBI come, your daughter will die. You called 911.
Yes, I did. I had to do something. I had to take action.
And I mean, all this happened in a matter of moments.
Patsy calls 911 at 5:52 a.m. and the first officer arrives at 5:55.
Wow, that's fast.
I know, that's really fast. More friends start to arrive and more officers start to arrive. So at this point, lots of people are at the house.
We called friends for help at that point. Your daughter is gone.
Desperate.
She's in the hands of a madman.
My phone rang. Pam, they've got her. What do you mean they've got her? They've kidnapped JonBenet. She's gone.
What was the atmosphere like as you sat and waited?
Well, it was awful. First of all, we didn't know whether the kidnapper was going to call that day because the note said, I will call you tomorrow. Get plenty of rest. I was deathly afraid that tomorrow was in fact the 27th.
You lose all perception of time, of place. You've just been dealt a horrible, crushing blow.
The police came in just before 6 o'clock in the morning on the 26th of December, thinking that we had a missing child. They go into this beautiful house with 18 or so rooms.
And they did a cursory search of the residence, and they didn't find anything.
The mistakes they made were outrageous, they were mystifying, they were mistake after mistake after mistake.
The police did a terrible, terrible job securing that scene. And if you don't secure the scene, you don't get good evidence. People were streaming through that house. They were in the kitchen, they were in the living room. There were some friends of Patsy's that were helping her wipe up the kitchen. There could have been fingerprints there.
You had friends that were Windexing the sink and washing dishes. And
People were making toast in the kitchen. And yes, a kidnapping is a crime scene, but we were so focused on getting JonBenet back. That was the task.
What we have learned is that everyone should have been sequestered into an area so that people weren't roaming around the house.
And that was a mistake on my part. The reason I didn't is because these people were the Ramsey support system. There was no information at all to indicate the family was involved at that point.
It was a crime scene, and it was getting contaminated. The note was being passed around and reviewed by all of their friends.
Of all of the evidence left behind, that ransom note is the most baffling. Number one, it is too damn long. A ransom note is not that long. A ransom note says, I have your child, I want $1 million, I'll call you later.
This is the infamous ransom note. It begins,
Mr. Ramsey, listen carefully.
It was 3 pages long, and some people believe that a kidnapper that was truly kidnapping somebody would have written a very direct and to-the-point ransom note.
3 pages? What was that about?
That ransom note was the War and Peace of ransom notes.
Who would write a 3-page rambling ransom note other than someone trying to cover their tracks who was in the house?
It's the weirdest ransom note I've ever read.
You will withdraw $118,000 from your account. $100,000 will be in $100 bills and the remaining $18,000 in $20 bills.
You think about this number and how is it relevant? And it's relevant because John Ramsey got a bonus from his company for $118,000. How many people knew that? I'm going to guess not a lot of people.
Our grandpa compared the note to some examples that he found in movies.
John?
The movie Ransom was playing in Boulder.
I have your son.
Oh, Jesus.
I want $2 million.
Oh, God.
In that particular movie, a fat cat industrialist, his son was kidnapped. There's a lot of the same verbiage in this note as was in even the note that was written in that particular movie.
If we catch you talking to a stray dog, she dies.
If you talk to anyone, I don't care if it's a Pekingese pissing against a lamppost, the girl dies.
You and your family are under constant scrutiny as well as the authorities. Don't try to grow a brain, John.
Do not attempt to grow a brain.
Our guy's a real watcher of that particular type of movies.
Dan, what does this tell you in terms of evidence?
First of all, that someone felt comfortable spending the time writing this long note in the house.
And whoever wrote the note is about to go from a kidnapping suspect to a murder suspect.
The ransom note had indicated there would be a call between 8 and 10 a.m.
And the police prepped me on how to respond on a phone call, and it's very important that you hear JonBenet's voice.
Police officers were leaving at 9:30 and 9:45 before that time period of the phone call had even expired. One lone detective was left on the scene.
Detective Linda Arndt is left behind in the house with John and Patsy Ramsey.
She didn't have extensive homicide experience managing a kidnapping and what was about to unfold. This was likely pretty overwhelming for one lone police officer.
Everyone is cleared but the family friends, victim advocates, and the detective.
So nobody was cleared.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense to me because everyone should be cleared from the scene.
The house is full of people. And so this is a crime scene that is now being destroyed piece by piece.
I was praying. Linda Arndt had said to me, we're hopeful that the kidnappers will just drop JonBenet off someplace. And I kept looking out the window, clutching this cross and just imagining that she was going to come running down the street.
They're waiting for a telephone call from the kidnapper. What's going to happen next?
"10 o'clock comes and goes, and there's no acknowledgement that the deadline imposed by the author of the ransom note has come and gone.
Nobody seemed to mark it or freak out about it. She noticed John Ramsey checking his mail in the kitchen and thought that was odd.
Linda Arndt tells the restless John, why don't you look around the house, see if anything is missing or looks strange.
Check the house, top to bottom, look for anything that might belong to JonBenet that is in place where it shouldn't be."
John took a friend with him. They went to the basement, and John opened the door.
You opened the door to the small room.
I knew instantly what I'd found. I'd found my daughter. She was lying on a white blanket. The blanket was wrapped around her. Her hands were tied above her head. She had tape over her mouth. I immediately knelt down over her, felt her cheek, took the tape off immediately off her mouth. I tried to untie the cord that was around her arms. I couldn't get the knot untied. Picked her up, and I ran upstairs and laid her on the floor and still had a hope that she was alive.
And I see John Ramsey carrying JonBenet up the last 3 steps from the basement. She looked like she was sleeping. She had some marks on her face and on her neck. I knelt next to her and I leaned down to her face. And John leaned down opposite and he asked if she was dead. And I said, yes, she's dead. And as we looked at each other, I remember, and I wore a shoulder holster, tucking my gun right next to me and consciously counting, I've got 18 bullets.
Why did you do that?
Because I didn't know if we'd all be alive when people showed up.
She clearly felt in danger. At that moment, she made it clear that she thought that John Ramsey killed his daughter and that they might kill her. It was shocking to me that she would think that.
How is it that you have all these cops searching a home and nobody finds the body, but you asked John Ramsey to go look for things out of the ordinary, and he finds his daughter in a room that had never been opened by anybody in law enforcement? That's crazy.
He lays her on the living room floor where just a few minutes before, friends and neighbors have been walking and, you know, bringing in fibers and whatever to contaminate the scene. And then the coup de grace. He grabs a blanket, which is full of who knows what kind of contaminants, and throws it over the body.
Patsy was being kept out of the room, and I didn't want Patsy to see JonBenet laying there like that.
I remember walking in and seeing her lying there in front of the Christmas tree. I knelt down over her and just laid my body on her body and my cheek against her cheek, and it was cold. And Father Raw was there. And he started saying the last rites, I believe. And I just kept saying, no, no, you know, ask God. Ask God to raise her.
So we're talking a major blunt force. This is just a massive blow.
But the ultimate cause of death was strangulation with something called a garrote.
Brad, what type of a weapon is a garrote? How does it work?
It's a device of string, and it's wrapped around what ends up being a piece of a paintbrush. And what happens is, as JonBenét is losing consciousness, she's leaning forward. And so this gets tighter and tighter, and you can see how it cuts into my hand. You can see exactly why it cut into her neck. And that ultimately, according to the ME, is what killed her.
It seems to me that she had been attempting to remove the ligature from around her neck. And that tells me she was alive when she was garroted.
There were signs that JonBenét had also been sexually abused. The broken pieces of the paintbrush that were used for the garrote were also used to sexually assault her.
What does it tell you about the murderer? Just how vicious and awful this death was for her.
A person that would do this to a 6-year-old in this fashion clearly is into sort of sadistic behavior, that they like torture to a certain extent. This is clearly somebody who was really into this.
And was here with the intent to kill.
There was no evidence of a break-in. There was no jimmying on the front door. There were 4 people in that house, and 1 died overnight. From the very beginning, they suspected the parents.
Within minutes of JonBenét's body being found, this was who they were going to go after, and that's what they did.
The police are thinking, we got to talk to those parents, and we got to talk to them right now before they start getting their story straight together.
They brought JonBenét's body out past the candy canes that were decorating the front of the house, and there were only like 2 reporters outside to capture that. And then the storm happened.
JonBenét Ramsey, the little girl in Colorado, was murdered.
Beauty queen JonBenét. JonBenét's murder has frightened residents of Boulder.
News outlets from around the world had descended upon Boulder and were just hiding in trees and bushes and digging through our trash, following me around town. I mean, it was war.
The JonBenét Ramsey case was completely out of control.
You also have to remember the O.J. Simpson case had wrapped up. The 24-hour news cycle, their content had dried up. And so along came the Ramsey family, and we fit right into that slot.
JonBenét Ramsey was a precocious 6-year-old. She had been strangled to death in the basement of her own home.
You have the shock, this incredibly horrendous crime, and then you have these videos that surface.
I wanna be a cowboy, sweetheart. I wanna learn to rope and to ride.
Of this beautiful young girl.
JonBenét Ramsey. Dark blonde hair and green eyes.
Dancing in her costumes, and those were the first viral videos.
She'd like to become an Olympic ice skater.
It's part of what turned it into an international circus.
Now we have Instagram and we have Snapchat. But back then, this was one of the first moments in time where something truly went viral. This little girl's image was everywhere overnight.
The biggest negative factor about John and Patsy Ramsey was that they had allowed their daughter to be in child beauty pageant contests, and people did not like them.
As our grandpa stated, this was a brutal, premeditated murder, not just a little doink on the head covered up by perverted staging.
It seems unimaginable to most parents out there that any parent could do something this brutal, this heinous to their own child, and yet police found evidence from the beginning that in their minds pointed directly to the Ramseys.
Particularly, Amy, when you start with children of this age, when they die, tend to die at the hands of their parents. So the focus is naturally going to be on the parents to begin with. Now, in the house, the ransom note is written on a pad that belongs to Patsy. So this is the notepad. This location right here is where the note was physically found by Patsy. The pen that was used was in the house.
So this is the garrote that was used in the murder of JonBenet, and it's a special significance because of what it was made from.
Yes, it basically is an artist's paintbrush that's broken. And what's important is that it actually came from Patsy's art supply.
And there were even fibers on the backside of the duct tape that had been on JonBenet's mouth from Patsy's clothing.
And that was very, very important. But there are problems because Patsy lived in that house. Would those fibers have been there anyway?
The police started thinking, well, maybe this is just a cover-up, that the Ramseys harmed their child some way, then panicked and tried to create basically a kidnapping scenario.
Patsy and John should have been taken to the police station immediately for separate interviews, for examination of their body for defensive wounds, for collection of their clothing. That never happened.
At this point, they haven't interviewed the mother or father. Not surprisingly, they're still very grief-stricken. They have not been in any kind of condition to be interviewed.
A couple of days after he finds his daughter's body in the basement, police speak with John Ramsey, but this is not a formal interrogation.
My father, myself, we all marched into that police station, gave blood, we gave hair, we gave fingerprints. The thing that really stuck with me is two detectives hand me their business cards, and one says narcotics officer and the other says auto theft. And I bury my head into my hands because I knew at that point we were in a bad spot. Boulder police didn't have the resources to solve a complex homicide.
John interviewed with Boulder police. Patsy's doctor said she was too medicated and unable to get out of bed.
The police were faced with lawyers and wealthy friends, people in the community who told the police, please give them room, they're grieving, what's the matter with you?
Though the police had spoken to the Ramseys, what they really wanted to do was formally interrogate them.
The police are thinking, we got to talk to those parents, and we got to talk to them right now before they start getting their story straight together.
Your lawyers advised you then not to submit to police questions. Why not, people say? Wouldn't you have wanted to tell them everything?
Well, I don't recall that our lawyers told us that at the time. We said, you know, yeah, we want to keep working with you, but can't you come here? We can't go out. Patsy was in bed. Patsy was barely able to move. We were perfectly willing and anxious to work with the police to find the killer. We had a higher priority at that point, and that was to bury our daughter.
The family is flying the body back to Atlanta for burial.
On New Year's Eve, JonBenet was laid to rest just outside of Atlanta, Georgia.
This service is in loving memory of JonBenet Patricia Ramsey.
We flew back to Atlanta to bury JonBenet, Atlanta being our home. Atlanta being where my oldest sister Beth is buried.
We give thanks today for JonBenet, for the love that she had for her parents.
I want to go back to the funeral.
Whatever we do, we're gonna go through it together. We may not get far, but sure as the star, wherever we are, it's together.
Wherever we are, it's together.
We sang that. She and I sang that together. We'd sing it driving in the car, and we just knew that we would always be together in everything. I wanted my children to know that I was with them through thick and thin, regardless of what happened in life. You know, unconditional love.
Oh, look at that. You can go places now.
Every murder case that I've ever done, the parents are so grief-stricken. but they sometimes make a nuisance out of themselves at the police department.
The Ramseys, literally the day after JonBenét's funeral, sit down for a television interview.
The next thing the police knew, they were on CNN.
The Boulder police don't interrogate the Ramseys, but they remain the main suspects.
Many people found the Ramseys' behavior peculiar, suspicious, weird, off balance, and from that thought, they must be guilty.
When you realized that you two were the prime suspects, what did you think? What did you feel? What did you say?
Well, we were outraged. We were shocked. How could they think that? We were a normal family.
I just didn't believe it. You just can't believe it. I mean, you were suffering from having lost our child. And then for someone to accuse you, it's just, you can't believe that that would happen.
A lot of people said, you know, if that were me, I'd be on the steps of the police department finding the murderer of my daughter. Then they go on CNN and say they didn't do it.
If anyone knows anything, please help us.
We've sensed from our friends that this tragedy has touched not just ourselves and our friends, but many people.
As a mother, my heart went out to this couple.
And if I were a resident of Boulder, I will tell my friends to keep your babies close to you. There's someone out there.
But my journalistic brain said to me, this isn't right. They should be talking to the police, not the public.
Police end their 10-day search of the Ramsey house and remove the crime scene tape.
It is unknown if the family intends to resume residency at the home. We have no comment on the whereabouts of the family at this time.
Starting from the beginning of this case, we, the media, lapped up what the Boulder Police Department wanted to tell us about what they were doing in the JonBenet Ramsey case.
For the most part, the police were very tight-lipped in this thing. They didn't tell us a lot of secrets. They didn't leak a lot of information. Other than broadly, we think the mom did it.
People who believe Patsy killed their daughter believe it was over a bedwetting and then staged to look like an intruder.
The bedwetting theory was a big theory at the time. The bedwetting theory suggests that Patsy was angry with JonBenet and killed her because the bed was wet.
I'm a cancer survivor of stage 4 cancer. When you are standing on the brink of death with a terminal illness, your priorities suddenly line up. Bedwetting is totally insignificant. I love my children. I wouldn't harm them for anything in the world.
But Americans were fascinated with the possibility that the Ramseys might have done this.
What happened in that house? Did she go berserk and hurt JonBenet, by accident, not on purpose certainly? Did Burke hurt her by mistake and cause her death?
It was leaked by Boulder police that it was possible that Burke Ramsey's voice was on the 911 call that Patsy had made.
Patsy? Patsy?
The 911 operator believed that she heard an unexplained voice at the end of the 911 call.
Patsy Ramsey has put the phone down, but she hasn't hung it up. And the 911 recording continues.
I heard her say, okay, I've called the police, now what? And I thought, huh. And then I heard two people talking to her, and I heard a male voice respond, and then I heard a more faint voice respond.
Some speculated at the time that faint voice might have been Burke, but the family denied it, saying he was asleep at the time. We asked an expert to weigh in on the call.
My name is Ed Primo. I'm an audio-video forensic expert, and I was asked about what people have heard throughout the years from this 911 call. Here we go.
What's your name? Are you happy with the mother? Oh my God!
So when Patsy is speaking to the operator, we could clearly see bright yellow and orange colors. And as I zoom in to the recording here, I can see the formants. This is a visual representation of sound. The brighter the color, the louder the volume. The sound changes right here, the section in question where people are hearing voices. We can see some sounds, but we don't see the formants like we saw over here. So I can't rely on those being words. There's just not enough signal-to-noise ratio in order to be able to perceive what those sounds are. They could be noise, and they could be voices. I just can't, as a scientist, arrive at a reasonable conclusion.
The Secret Service and the FBI also concluded that no additional conversation is audible.
I think we've given way too much weight on whether or not Burke Ramsey was present when Mom makes the 911 call. If Burke's voice was there or John Ramsey's voice is there, does that mean they're the killer?
And it's important to remember that the Boulder police never considered Burke a suspect. They suspected the parents, even though the Ramseys had no history of abuse or neglect of their children.
All the evidence shows me that up until this point, they were devoted parents.
Would you get up in the middle of the night and slaughter your child? We're parents. We love our children.
There's so many puzzle pieces here that just don't fit.
Do you really think your daughter's murderer will be found?
Yes, I do. Because the killer has never been pursued. An objective, wide investigation hasn't taken place. The parents have been focused on. That's all that's been done.
It might be an unknown entity then, not one of the suspects we've all been currently talking about and dissecting.
I don't think it's any of the suspects we're talking about.
What we know is that just within a few mile radius of the Ramseys' home, there was approximately 38 to 40 sex offenders in that area. And the question is, have they all been completely vetted?
Was it an accident? Was it intentional, premeditated?
I want to say something to the person or persons that took this baby from us. The list of suspects narrows. Soon, there will be no one on the list but you.
Our killer, John Bonet. How many victims has he had in the past? And how many victims is he going to have in the future?
The grand jury couldn't point the finger at one or the other, but they were convinced that it was one of the two of them and that the other one helped.
Go back to the damn drawing board.
There was a person seen going across the lawn of the Ramsey house.
Lou dedicated a big part of his life to finding John Bonet's murderer.
Detective Lou Smith was like, whoa.
He just said, I have a name. I want you to write it down.
Lou took all of the information that he had and developed a database.
3 generations of my family has been involved working on the John Bonet Ramsey case.
First officer arrives at 5:55.
Wow, that's fast.
I know, that's really fast.
Lou Smith's family believes that all but one person on that list is innocent.
We're in better position today than we've ever been to solve the John Bonet Ramsey case.
John Bonet was an entertainer. She would entertain at the drop of a hat.
She loved to sing and dance and perform. It was a natural for her.
I competed with John Bonet. She had all these wonderful costumes and outfits, and she had this presence.
Third runner-up, John Bonet.
It wasn't really a competition to her. It was more of like, this is fun, like let's go on stage and do that.
My name is John Bonet Ramsey, and I'm 5½.
What is your favorite animal at the zoo?
The monkeys, because they laugh and stuff and hang around.
Today, that little girl would be 30 years old.
I was her age. She would be my age now. She would be pursuing her own career. She never got to grow up. She is frozen in time now.
Well, the police were convinced pretty early on that Patsy and/or John were involved. And you had a district attorney's office that was saying, not so fast. And that created enormous tension between the two.
Did you hear anything yesterday? I think there are some new developments.
Alex Hunter, the district attorney, wanted someone to come in with fresh eyes in this case and look at it from the perspective of a defense attorney. Who might have killed JonBenet as an intruder, not just the parents, but from the outside?
Boulder DA Alex Hunter brought Lou Smith out of retirement to help solve the Ramsey case.
One of the great challenges is to try to do the case right. And, I think we're making efforts to meet that challenge by involving people like Lou Smith.
The legendary investigator Lou Smith. He had a history of closing cases.
He had such tenacity. He was a bulldog. Once he got something in his mind, once he got the reins in his teeth, he was not letting go.
Lou Smith was my father. He was just known as, the detective that solved cases. When he got to a murder scene, he spent time dictating everything he saw. Where the sun was in the sky, what the weather conditions were like, what the neighboring houses looked like. Our grandfather was a detective on one of the biggest unsolved murders in our generation. Prior to this case, Lou Smith had investigated over 200 homicide cases that led to arrests and convictions. Lou dedicated a big part of his life to finding JonBenet's murderer. When he started his investigation, he felt like everybody else did, that it was probably one of the two parents.
It seemed as though the parents were probably involved in it. I thought this would be a fairly easy case. I thought it would be a slam dunk. And I even remember talking to my daughter. I kind of joked with her, saying that, if somebody did get in the house, it must have been Santa Claus coming down the chimney.
It was within a couple of days after my dad started on the investigation, when he had a chance to review pictures, the evidence, that he was already saying, I think that they need to look the other way. He was already noting in his journal that he felt that they needed to look at an intruder.
Lou came up with the intruder theory. You can't think about that theory without associating it with Lou Smith.
The first thing that stood out to him was an open window in the basement. There was a suitcase propped up against it.
He didn't buy the Boulder Police Department's conclusion that no one could get in that basement window. He began to say maybe somebody did get into that house.
I'll show you how easily it can be done.
So what did Lou Smith do? He went and climbed in the window himself with a camera rolling to prove that it could be done.
It really wasn't that difficult coming in that window.
But some say that the idea of somebody going in the window is complicated by something else that's spotted in the images of the crime scene.
When you go to a photograph of the actual window, there are cobwebs in the window, which could support that no one did go through this window. The big question is, could you have gotten through this window, this small window, without disturbing this cobweb? I think the answer to that is maybe. But the other important point is, how soon was this picture taken after JonBenet was killed? Because spiders can replicate webs very fast.
Also found in the basement by JonBenet's body, a shoe print, high-tech brand that did not match any shoes in the Ramsey's house. And then there's the high-tech footprint as well.
Then there's the high-tech footprint found next to JonBenet that I think the investigators believe, and maybe rightly so, that that's the bad guy's footprint.
Some argue the footprint could have been inadvertently left by police officers there at the scene. But another factor in Lou Smith's investigation, two strange marks on JonBenet's face and back.
The marks themselves, both on the back and on the face, were the same distance apart. Suddenly a little light went on, and it was just like, wait a minute, it was a stun gun.
Smith looked at other murders where a stun gun was known to have been used. He examined images of a crime victim who had a known stun gun injury.
And the marks are very similar to the face of John Bonet.
He also looked into an experiment performed using stun guns on pigs. These marks were also the same as the marks found on John Bonet.
When we did the pigs, we get perfect marks, just almost like on the back of John Bonet.
This brings back our grandpa's whole motto that things are usually what they seem. Don't make it complicated.
There's no reason at all for the Ramseys to use a stun gun, and the Ramseys don't have a stun gun. If it's not a stun gun, what is it? That's the question I always ask. You tell me what it is.
So everybody sort of poo-pooed and ridiculed the intruder theory until Lou Smith started to stand up and point out things that everybody else, from the Boulder PD to the general public at large, had overlooked or dismissed. He said, wait a second, we need to look at this again. It actually is possible. It actually is plausible. And in his view of it, it's actually the most likely thing that happened.
The police and the district attorney are at odds. The DA is looking at the intruder theory, the police focused on the parents, but both want to get the Ramseys to come in for a formal videotaped interrogation.
Go back to the damn drawing board. I didn't do it.
Lou Smith thought that the Ramseys were being targeted unfairly.
I thought there was something drastically wrong. I had seen evidence of an intruder.
Within a few weeks of John Bonet's murder, police had an important clue: the discovery of foreign DNA on her body.
Crime scene detectives discovered DNA underneath John Bonet's fingernails and in her underwear that did not match anybody in the Ramsey family. That was not something that was made public for quite a long time.
They knew at the time that there was DNA in her panties. That it was mixed foreign DNA, and that it was not the Ramsey's DNA. Not Patsy's, not John's, and not Burke's.
Detective Lou Smith was like, whoa, while you're pouring water all over the intruder theory, you're not revealing that you have found unidentified DNA and it doesn't match anybody in the Ramsey family.
Lou is just incensed that the focus is still being, well, it could be Patsy, maybe we need to get her to confess.
The Ramseys had been interrogated by police 4 months after John Bonet's death. But now authorities want the Ramseys to come in again for a formal videotaped interrogation.
There were months and months of negotiations. Things about whether they could be videotaped. What are the questions going to be? Should the Boulder police be a part of it? Because the Ramseys said, we don't trust the police. We don't want them there.
Ultimately, the interrogation took place at a different police department.
And at the end, the Boulder police had to watch it from another building.
The Ramseys finally sit down with the police for a videotaped interrogation in June 1998, a year and a half after John Bonet's murder.
Today is Wednesday, June 24th, 1998. I'm present at the Broomfield Police Department. Tricia Ramsey.
Tom Haney, who was one of the most respected homicide detectives out of Denver, was chosen to interview Patsy Ramsey.
Patsy Ramsey had a year and a half to prepare. I knew that it was going to be tough to get a spontaneous response.
Do you ever recall purchasing black duct tape like this? It seems like there can't be a house in the world that doesn't have duct tape because it repairs everything.
Well, I never liked it because it's so gooey. Isn't it gooey?
He started out softly and kindly and curious, And then he got pointed with his questions, and that made Patsy angry.
If I told you right now that we have, in the process of being examined, trace evidence that appears to link you to the death of John Bonet, what would you tell me?
That is totally impossible. Go retest.
How is it impossible?
I did not kill my child. I didn't have a thing to do with it.
She said it was impossible that we had physical evidence linking her to the crime.
I'm talking about scientific evidence.
I don't give a flying flip how scientific it is.
So, but they're trying to say, Patsy, that their actions before, during, and after are all consistent with innocent people. You didn't do it.
My dad started getting frustrated as time went on because he felt that the case against the Ramseys was being slanted where no other evidence was coming in.
I thought there was something drastically wrong and that there was a gross injustice in this case. I had seen evidence of an intruder in the house that night.
Lou Smith thought that the Ramseys were being targeted unfairly, and he didn't believe the police were listening to him.
Smith so strongly disagrees with the prosecutor's focus on the Ramseys that he is resigning from the case, saying, "The case tells me John and Patsy Ramsey did not kill their daughter."
He wrote a letter to Alex Hunter telling them that he couldn't be a part of the persecution of these people, is how he termed it.
He wrote, "I intend to stand with this family and somehow help them through this and find the killer of their daughter."
My dad may have resigned from the district attorney's office, but he never stopped work on the case. He walked in John Bonet's shoes, and he owed it to her, he felt, to continue his investigation.
One thing Lou Smith fought to do was tell a grand jury his side of the story, the intruder theory.
There were too many questions, in particular, that DNA in the underwear that appears to have been from a man didn't match anyone they knew of.
Grand jurors arrived at the Boulder County Justice Center this morning and were escorted into the courthouse by sheriff's deputies.
I think Alex Hunter got shamed into calling a grand jury. I mean, he didn't do it until September 1998, almost 2 years later. And I think the media pressure and the pressure from the police department forced him to do it.
Good morning, Counsel.
And remember, this is after O.J. Simpson, where most people think the evidence of Simpson's guilt was insurmountable.
We, the jury, in the above entitled action, find the defendant, Orenthal James Simpson, not guilty of the crime of murder.
And yet, he walked. Alex remembered that. He told me one time, "I don't want to spend 2 years of my life and $5 million of the taxpayers' money and lose in court."
Alex Hunter sent a grand jury for 13 months.
Are you surprised by anything you've seen?
No.
Over 13 months, those people heard over 100 witnesses.
My name is Jonathan Webb. I was a grand juror on the John Bonet Ramsey case. It bothers me that the murder of a little girl like this has gone on unsolved for essentially a quarter century.
Members of the Boulder grand jury looked very much like detectives themselves as they finally toured the Ramsey house.
From a crime scene perspective, it was very disturbing how she was found. She's on a concrete floor, a garrote around her neck, and she's 6 years old. That's pretty horrible.
Webb told us that the grand jury spent most of their time focused on two main issues. First, who wrote that ransom note?
We heard from 3 handwriting experts, and even though the handwriting experts couldn't definitively say that she wrote it, they all 3 came to the same conclusion that it could have been Patsy Ramsey.
The Ramsey defense team had their own experts who said that the comparison between the writing on the ransom note and Patsy's handwriting was not conclusive. We asked an expert to weigh in on the case.
My name is Jennifer Nasso. I am a forensic document examiner. Handwriting is a great piece of evidence to have because you can identify the writer of a piece of writing. Throughout the ransom note, there's potential that the author attempted to disguise their writing. It doesn't look smooth and fluid. It's very, very shaky. So it looks like someone was purposely trying to shake their hand to alter the way that the writing looks. This is an example from the ransom note, where you see that kind of typewritten formation of the letter A. This is also from the ransom note, where you see that regular printed A. There are similarities between the ransom note and Patsy Ramsey's writing. However, the similarities that are seen are very general in nature. They're characteristics that many people execute within their writing. So here is another example. This formation seen in the ransom note is 2 strokes, where there's the stroke downward, the pen is lifted up, and then the bowl is created. Right here, again, from the ransom note, where it starts the formation of the bowl and terminates upward. So down here are examples of Patsy Ramsey's known writing. And you do see some of those formations again. That is significant that we see each of the formations represented, but keep in mind this is one letter from the whole ransom note. Is it possible that Patsy Ramsey wrote the ransom note? Yes. Is it possible someone else wrote the ransom note? Yes.
And the grand jury believed that she wrote it.
The second focus for this grand jury, according to Jonathan Webb, was the viability of the intruder theory.
Smith actually presented his intruder theory to the grand jury.
This is the very first photo taken of the train room basement window. The window was wide open. Now, if I was a detective, I'd have said, wow, this is entry.
But the grand jury wasn't buying the intruder theory because of those cobwebs in the window.
The intruder theory didn't make sense to the grand jury. The Boulder police had photographed cobwebs. So for someone to get through a small opening like that and not disturbing a cobweb would be remarkable.
A grand jury does not decide guilt or innocence the way a regular jury does. The grand jury is only there to decide whether or not there is probable cause to charge the suspects with a crime.
We were troubled by, to what level of confidence do we need to have to vote to indict? And it's the preponderance of the evidence, which means greater than 50%. And soon after that, we voted to indict.
Both Patsy and John are accused of permitting a child to be unreasonably placed in a situation which posed a threat of injury to the child's life or health, which resulted in the death of JonBenet Ramsey. And then in the other one, did unlawfully, knowingly, and feloniously render assistance to a person with intent to hinder the apprehension of the person. These two things together make it clear that the grand jury couldn't point the finger at one or the other, but that they were convinced that it was one of the two of them and that the other one helped.
This is 7 News at 5.
There is high anticipation in Boulder right now for a Ramsey decision, and we are about to hear an announcement from Boulder DA Alex Hunter.
I and my prosecution task force believe we do not have sufficient evidence to warrant the filing of charges against anyone who has been investigated at this time.
I was shocked. It's extremely unusual for a grand jury to vote to charge and the DA not charge.
And you think it was the right decision?
I think it was the right decision. I think no matter what you think about the case, I think that they would never have gotten a conviction.
Thank you very much.
There were too many questions, in particular, that DNA in the underwear that appears to have been from a man didn't match anyone they knew of.
We've done all this work to try and vet the Ramseys. What work have we done to truly vet other potential suspects in this case?
That's why Lou Smith continued investigating even after he resigned from the case.
Lou Smith calls me cold, and I said to him, I've been praying for somebody to call and want to listen. Well, I believe a friend of mine killed her.
But I think what turned this whole case has always been DNA. The killer left behind, I believe, part of his DNA.
Over nearly 13 years, Lou took all of the information that he had on this case and developed a database. In this particular murder, he thought that DNA would solve this case.
But Lou Smith couldn't have imagined the advances in DNA that were to come, advances that would lead to a number of big surprises in the case.
What was developed is a thing called touch DNA. So I just touched this picture, I touched the table. I have now left skin cells on both locations. In theory, that could be scraped, and they could match that up to my DNA.
In 2008, the then district attorney for Boulder, Mary Lacey, decided to do a new round of DNA testing on JonBenét's pajama leggings.
More than a decade later, the items were retested and they found something new. Remember, the previous analysis had already found DNA from an unknown male under JonBenét's fingernails and in her underwear. Now, this new touch DNA uncovered DNA from at least one unknown male, maybe two, on her leggings as well.
That's a pretty big thing. That's a pretty clear indication that somebody else was there. You've got DNA now in 3 places on JonBenét's body that doesn't match anybody in the Ramsey family, anybody, and nobody knows whose it is.
And so I think that's what drove the district attorney to make a comment that she's basically not going to look at the family any longer.
The news broke here at the district attorney's office with this incredible letter to JonBenét's father.
DA Mary Lacey wrote John Ramsey, "We do not consider your immediate family, including you, your wife Patsy, and your son Burke, to be under any suspicion in the commission of this crime."
John Ramsey appeared on a local newscast.
We're certainly grateful for an acknowledgement that we are innocent, that this was an intruder, which of course we've always maintained.
Somewhere, somehow, there may be a match to that DNA. Then you got your killer.
Our killer, JonBené, how many victims has he had in the past? And how many victims is he going to have in the future? And so this killer could still be murdering even today.
Lou Smith spent years organizing and investigating the evidence in the JonBené Ramsey murder case, but eventually he ran out of time.
When he got sick with cancer, he knew that his time was limited. And so during that time, he just talked to others about not letting this case die.
He had people coming every single day, 60 to 70, 80 people a day coming to see him. And they said their goodbyes. And during that time, he would still talk about the case.
I remember about the last 3 days, he had slipped into a coma, and the conversations would become one way, you know, and I don't know if he could hear me or not.
It's very much an honor to be here to celebrate Lou Smith's life and to share my thoughts with you. I'm John Ramsey. I had the opportunity to visit Lou a week before he died. Remarkably, during that time together, Lou talked a lot about the case. He hadn't given up. He never gave up.
When Lou Smith died, he passed the torch of the JonBené Ramsey investigation onto his daughter, Cindy Mara, and she took it.
And he just said, I have a name. I want you to write it down. And I did. And he said, that's where you start.
You know, we'd be glad to pay that. We don't have that electronic report, so we would need Boulder to send it.
After my dad died, you know, a couple of us, our family, and then some of his old homicide partners, we just formed a team.
You want to go down to number 2, because that is an in-state one.
Yep.
What we all share in common is that commitment to fulfill Lou's dying wish that this case doesn't die with him. And I think it's that devotion, that respect, that love for Lou is what keeps our team moving forward.
There were a whole host of other possible suspects.
This is Bill McReynolds, the local Santa in town.
There's no way in the world that I could be involved in the death of this little girl. I adored her.
What a perfect suspect. Santa Claus. Wouldn't that have just tied it all up in a nice little bow?
Grandpa stated that if you can't show me a motive, show me evidence of bad character. If you can't show me evidence of bad character, show me evidence.
He had condensed everything he knew about every person of interest into a spreadsheet.
The team that his family created is confident that the killer's name is on that spreadsheet.
So what do we know about the person suspected of killing JonBenet Ramsey? The DA says the genetic profile from the DNA belongs to a male.
There were a whole host of other possible suspects, ranging from known criminals to friends of the Ramseys.
Brad, investigators looked beyond the Ramsey family. In fact, there was some speculation into potential involvement by 2 local men, correct?
Correct. Here you have Gary Oliva.
He was a homeless man who hung out at a church just a block and a half from the Ramseys' home. And he confessed that he killed JonBenet Ramsey. In fact, he called a friend right after she was killed, crying, sobbing, saying he just killed a little girl.
They took a look at him, but eventually eliminated him because there's absolutely no connection between he and the Ramseys, and his DNA, they used that to eliminate him. This is Bill McReynolds, the local Santa in town.
I was the Santa Claus for 3 years at their party, and I always liked the Ramsey party, so I called Patsy in particular and said it's time for our party.
And apparently JonBenet had made a comment that he, Bill McReynolds, was coming to their house to see JonBenet. I think everybody thought that was a little weird. His DNA didn't match, and he's out of the picture.
And then this is someone who actually gets brought up quite a bit. This is Michael Helgoth, and this was high on Lou Smith's list.
Michael Helgoth was an interesting character.
Lou Smith calls me cold, and I said to him, I've been praying for somebody to call and want to listen. Mike said he wanted to kill himself to get it over with, and that's one thing. And then he said that him and a partner were going to make $50,000 or $60,000 at Christmas. He wanted to crack a human skull.
Michael Helgoth evidently committed suicide the day after the Boulder District Attorney threatened that, hey, we're going to find you.
The list of suspects narrows. Soon there will be no one on the list but you.
So he committed suicide after authorities said they were narrowing their list.
Right.
He had a stun gun and he had high-tech boots.
Correct. Stun gun, a bit odd for people to have. High-tech boots, fairly common thing for people to have. But the real clincher would be DNA didn't match, and he has no connection to the Ramsey family.
So he was ruled out.
And he was ruled out.
And then Brad, who could forget John Mark Carr?
Of course.
He made quite the headline.
I love JonBenet, and died accidentally. No.
Everyone probably around the world knows John Mark Carr.
Her death was an accident.
So you were in the basement?
Yes.
Problem is, he wasn't in Boulder, Colorado when she died, and his DNA didn't match.
And that was it. He was ruled out. What does it say about the state of this case and the possibility of ever solving it?
Well, that's a big question.
We went through the people of interest, the suspects, and came up with our top 20.
Take a look at it and run it through their program.
What our team has been doing is focusing on collecting DNA and testing DNA.
Do you want to get in touch with them? Who wants to?
I think we should make the effort.
You want to just start like maybe in September?
And since Lou has passed away, the team has been able to clear a number of people from that list. However, the work is pretty slow because of the time and expense involved in locating somebody on that sheet and obtaining their DNA and then testing it.
We have asked suspects for their DNA, and in other cases we've, I guess, done it the old-fashioned way with surveillance and trickery.
We've gotten together and followed people and gotten a discarded cup or some such thing
So the DNA is evolving constantly. So we're in better position today than we've ever been to solve the JonBenét Ramsey case.
We are just trying to eliminate people from that list. And we just figure if we keep at it, hopefully we'll finally whittle it down to one person remaining on that list.
Lou Smith's family believes that all but one person on that list is innocent.
Who murdered JonBenét Ramsey?
Will the case ever be prosecuted?
Is it still just as mysterious today as it was in 1996?
Absolutely.
I think it's even more mysterious now to some degree because people have moved away from John and Patsy Ramsey as possible suspects. And so then you're sort of faced with this question of who the heck was in that house? How'd they get in? Why'd they target her? And to some degree, that makes it even more fascinating.
There was a person seen going across the lawn of the Ramsey house the night of the murder. Was there a killer trying to get into the house?
In September, we met with the Boulder DA's office and PD.
And what we presented was a confidential list of our top 20 people of interest and the list of the 8 people of interest that our team had eliminated through DNA analysis.
We just don't feel at this point that they are actively investigating this case.
The Boulder Police Department says the Ramsey case is an active, ongoing investigation, but they have never publicly commented on the handling of the case.
This team isn't going to give up. There's a third generation.
My daughters and others that will continue on with this case when we end up being too old to do it. But we're not going to stop investigating. We're just not going to do it.
This case boils down to intruder or Ramsey. And if the Ramseys didn't do it, then it's an intruder. And if it's an intruder, the intruder is still out there.
The case took its toll on the whole Ramsey family emotionally and financially over the years. John Ramsey would lose his job and spend millions on private investigators, lawyers, and security.
There are still people today, John, 22 years later, who believe you or Patsy or Burke had something to do with the murder of JonBenét.
I know that, and how could they have believed otherwise? Because that's what they were told. You know, even if we have a conviction, confession, and this person's in prison, there's going to be 5–10% of the population that still thinks we're guilty.
My dad certainly suffered a tremendous amount, but I think he's focused on life today and enjoying life with his family and grandkids, and he's remarried. Patsy died from cancer in 2006. She's buried in Marietta, Georgia, next to JonBenét.
In my mind, she's still my 6-year-old little girl. That's how I remember her. Every once in a while, I'll see a little child from behind, a little blonde-headed, ponytail girl, about 6 years old, and that catches me for a second because it looks like JonBenét.
The family has not lost the will to fight and the will to find the killer. We work on this daily. There's a group of dedicated volunteers that work on this daily. I want the trauma to stop for the family. And if we can find the killer, then the next generation doesn't have to live with that trauma and the unknown and the speculation. The only way to do that is to find out who did it. I think it's really important for people to understand that this case can be solved. There's a narrative out there that this is an unsolved homicide, and we just have to accept that as fact. And that is not the truth. If we leverage the evidence, we follow the facts, we will find this killer.
I used to give people my trust, and it was theirs to lose. Everybody carries a burden. They struggle with loss or heartbreak, but everybody has to have hope. Just recognize that there could be evil around you.
Tonight, the relationship some people say sounds like a real-life Silence of the Lambs.
Missing women, a terrifying suspect, and the detective who risks her life to solve the case. An all-new 2020 starts right now.
was a baffling case.
Baffling.
To have missing women in this town of Ashland is a big deal.
A huge
Unusual.
deal. Very, very unusual.
Elizabeth was very naive. She would trust anybody and everybody. She was like, why haven't I heard from her and I can't find her?
The last known images of Elizabeth Griffith were recorded while she was shopping inside this Walmart.
It seemed like a very short time frame that people started to look for Elizabeth, that now Stacy is gone.
Just love to dance and just have fun with the kids. Just a bundle of joy.
She's like, some nice guy stopped to help.
You told her, let him go. Tell him to leave. You've got help coming.
Yeah. And
she wouldn't. But now, a phone call that would change everything. A third woman taken.
There was a female and that she had been held captive.
Sounds like something out of a movie.
Absolutely.
A horror movie.
You can hear her desperation for help.
It's a chilling call.
Oh, come on. Just set the phone down.
Did you know anything about what you were about to face?
No.
And I saw her hand. I saw her outstretched hand through the window.
And then the line goes silent.
Yep.
What is the address to your emergency?
4th Street, Laundromat. What's the problem? I've been abducted.
It's 6:48 a.m. in September 2016. Emergency dispatchers receive a 911 call from a terrified woman. She's whispering that she's being held at a house near the laundromat and that her captor is asleep at her side.
Is he in the same room with you?
Yes.
Does he have a weapon?
He's got a taser.
Is there any way you can get out of the building?
I don't know without waking him, and I'm scared. His bedroom is closed, and he made it so it would make noise.
And we have officers we're sending.
Officer Kurt Dorsey rushes to the scene, leaving his siren off so that it does not alert the abductor. So, what were you doing when the call came in?
We responded from the police station. We were trying to be stealthy. We were told that the suspect was sleeping, so we wanted to approach and not make a bunch of noise.
You weren't even sure the call was real, right?
I didn't believe it was real at first, just because of the town that we live in. Just not a typical call that we would get in Ashland.
Ashland, Ohio. It's a small city between Columbus and Cleveland, home to more than 50 churches and a large Amish community.
Ashland is a quiet, rural community. There's about 20,000 people who live there. It has a university, a lot of farm fields.
So this is Ashland. What can you tell me about the town?
Well, as you can see, it's rolling hills, scenic. A lot of community stuff going on. Football games. The county fair. A lot of farm animals, a lot of competitions and shows for kids to get involved with.
Typical small town where everyone knows everyone, right?
Yes, exactly.
Kim Major has had 23 years of service as a detective in Ashland.
I handled violent crime and I handled sex offenses and child abuse. I'm over 1,000 of those cases.
1,000?
Yeah.
At the time of that terrifying 911 call, the community is already on edge. Just a week before, police discovered that a woman in town had simply vanished.
Well, there was a missing person named Elizabeth Griffith.
Yes. Elizabeth was known in our town. I had had contact with her. I think we all had. A lot of the officers would have an eye on her.
She was kind of a vulnerable person, and we helped her quite a bit as a police division.
She used to call them quite frequently. She would call them about anything and everything. Just like, I heard it's gonna snow today. Is there any chance that the roads will be closed? She was definitely a character.
Facing mental health challenges, 29-year-old Elizabeth Griffith attended meetings at a peer support center called LifeWorks.
Elizabeth was very bubbly and energetic. The first time I met Elizabeth was at LifeWorks, and she was coming down the hallway and I was coming opposite of her. And she was like, "Hey, you're new here." And I was like, "Yeah?" And she was like, "You want to be my friend?" And I was like, "Sure, let's be friends."
She was embraced not just by LifeWorks, but also by her church family.
Elizabeth was a really sweet girl, a simple person. She liked to make people laugh. She liked to sing. She loved to worship. She would raise her hand the highest during worship. Even though she was tone deaf, she'd sing louder than anyone else. She was very much with the heart of a child. It was a little harder for her to grasp some things sometimes.
She was a very loving person and a very loyal person. Certainly financial challenges, certainly medical challenges, mental health challenges.
She lived on her own in her own apartment. She did have a case manager that kind of helped her with daily life struggles. She was always introducing herself to everybody, very outgoing.
The community knew Elizabeth, and she was one of ours, and she was taken care of.
But then Elizabeth's support team realizes no one has seen her in weeks.
We were at LifeWorks and the phone rang, and it was Elizabeth's case manager. And she had asked if we had seen Elizabeth lately. She was like, "I can't find her." So I called her cell phone and it just went straight to voicemail, which was highly unlikely for Elizabeth. I was like, something's not right.
I was concerned because where would she have gone? What could have happened?
She wasn't the type of person that would go missing, so we sort of knew something was wrong there.
This is an area where I would often see Elizabeth Griffith walking, and just days before her disappearance, I stopped and chatted with her right up here.
It was a baffling case.
It was baffling. We didn't know if she had taken off or did she meet somebody online and leave. We didn't know if it was suicide. We didn't know where she was.
Everybody was taking to social media, posting pictures of her. Everyone was looking for her. Everybody was praying for her.
Police began to investigate, speaking to Elizabeth's neighbors and friends and tracing her last known steps.
I began talking with some of the public transit drivers because she would often use public transportation.
Before she disappeared, records showed that Elizabeth had taken the bus to go shopping.
The last known images of Elizabeth Griffith were recorded while she was shopping inside this Walmart.
There's video of her going through the aisles and then waiting for the bus.
She disappeared shortly thereafter, and she wouldn't be the only one. It turns out there's another missing woman in Ashland.
I said, "All right, Mom, I love you. I'll talk to you tomorrow." And that was the last we ever heard from her.
Police in Ashland, Ohio are searching for missing woman Elizabeth Griffith, and then they discover there's a second woman in town who also has mysteriously disappeared. 43-year-old Stacy Stanley, a divorced mom, devoted to her sons, Curtis and Corey.
One of my mom's favorite songs was Leonard Skinner's Freebird. It's a pretty good song.
Corey likes simple pleasures, playing music, riding his motorcycle on the highways of Ohio, raising his baby daughter. For him, family is everything, and his bond with his mother, Stacy, has always been particularly tight.
Good boy, you kissed your brother.
How would you describe her?
Very loving and caring, to do anything for anybody, you know, give the shirt off her back if she needed to.
Always there for her kids, calling you consistently. You know, if you didn't pick up, she'd call you like 1,000 times.
My sister was a very outgoing person.
It's a perfect time to make this wish. Have a happy birthday. Love, Grandma and Grandpa Stanley. $5.
Growing up, we were so close in age and we shared the same room and stuff growing up.
Karaoke?
She would sing some songs.
She loved punk rock music and the look, too.
Guns N' Roses, Sweet Child of Mine. I actually had a video of her singing it when we were kids. I was videotaping her singing that.
So she was not afraid to get on stage and perform?
No.
Even as adults, you were pretty close.
Yeah, I'd come home from work and she'd have big bunches of food made up, and I was like, oh, wow.
I hear she was a great cook?
Yeah, I mean, we didn't get look like this over nothing, you know?
She fed you well, huh?
Yes,
sir.
Absolutely.
And Stacy was a new grandmother to Curtis's 3-year-old daughter.
She was a great grandmother. She was spoiled the hell out of her, for sure.
Just love to dance and just have fun with the kids. Just a bundle of joy.
Stacy lived in Greenwich, Ohio, 30 minutes from Ashland.
Stacy was not from our county. She was from a county that butts up to our county, and she had visited Ashland.
It was September 8th, 2016, when she takes a fateful drive to Ashland to run some errands.
She went to Walmart to get some gardening supplies because she loved doing her gardening, and she also went to get her nails done. And then after that, she was getting some gas and to come back home.
It's around 8:30 at night when Stacy calls her son Corey from this gas station. She's stranded here with a flat tire and needs help.
She was like freaking out, and I said, well, just calm down, we'll find somebody to help you.
Were you worried?
Oh, not necessarily out the rip.
It's just a flat tire, you're thinking?
Just a flat tire, yeah.
They're able to find a family friend to meet Stacy at the gas station, but it turns out a stranger has also shown up to help.
She's like, some nice guy stopped to help. I had then told her to tell him to kick rocks. We got somebody to come and help you. And
she wouldn't?
Well, she's like, oh, he's a nice guy, he just stopped to help. And so my mom, you know the person she was friendly and talked to people. This guy takes over and he changes the tire. She offers him a ride home. And I said, all right, Mom. Well, I said, call me in the morning. She's like, okay, I love you. I'll talk to you tomorrow. I said, all right, love you too, Mom.
But the next day, Corey and Curtis don't receive the usual flurry of calls from their mom.
And then I talked to my aunt, and I'm like, hey, Mom's not picking up. I don't know what's going on. We ended up breaking into her house to get in, and she had 2 little dogs. She loved them little dogs, little chihuahuas.
Her dogs were still in their kennel, so we knew something was going on.
The Huron County Sheriffs had put out a bolo, be on the lookout for her vehicle.
We went driving the roads
looking for her.
In case she might have had an accident, was down in a ravine or a ditch or anything. We went looking, driving the routes from Ashland back to Greenwich.
Within hours, Stacy's family spreads out across the streets of Ashland, trying to find any trace of her.
We went down to the gas station, the BP, where she was last seen.
I had printed off like almost 2,000 or 3,000 flyers. We were just passing them out and putting them up everywhere. And there's probably a good 70 of us, at least, out there handing flyers out.
Detective Brian Evans is on patrol in Ashland when he spots the family.
As I was driving around the city of Ashland, I met up with different groups of her family who was actively searching for Stacy at the time. They were in different groups knocking on doors. They were going down to some abandoned buildings.
Well, I came across the radio that somebody had reported her car on East 9th Street in Ashland. We beat the cops over to the car.
And I opened the door, and I looked, I was like, the seat was all the way back. So my mom was short, so it didn't make sense why the seat was back.
I had grabbed her cigarette container she put her cigarette butts in, and I happened to see a Camel filtered cigarettes in there, and I was like, these aren't my mom's. My mom don't smoke these. At this point, you know, it's alarming because somebody else was in this car.
So now it's not just Elizabeth Griffith who is missing in Ashland.
It seemed like a very short time frame that people started to look for Elizabeth, that now Stacy is gone. The odds of two women missing at the same time just did not make sense whatsoever.
To have two missing women in this town of Ashland is a big deal.
It's a huge
Unusual?
deal. Very, very unusual for a county this size to have anyone missing, much less two women missing.
The community had concern. The word was starting to spread around.
We were like, what's really going on? It's Ashland. Like, stuff like that doesn't happen in Ashland.
Then, a heart-stopping clue in a window at the back of the house.
Sounds like something out of a movie.
Absolutely.
A horror movie.
I'm a 911 dispatcher, Ashland Police Department. I've been a dispatcher for 26 years.
What is your typical day like?
I go to work, sign into all the computers. We usually have 6 to 8 screens depending on what center you're at. Answer calls. You never know when the call will come in or what kind of call it's going to be.
Your most memorable call?
Probably this one.
911, what is the address to your emergency?
September 13th, 2016, 6:48 a.m.
Yep, end of my shift.
By September 13, 2016, Elizabeth Griffith had not been seen for a month. Stacy Stanley for 5 days.
You're working the dispatch and you get that call.
At first I couldn't hear her. It was real quiet. She was whispering.
What's the problem? I've been exhausted.
He says, I've been abducted.
Yes.
Your reaction?
My reaction was to find out where she was at first, to get her out of there.
20 West 81st Street.
The dispatcher had told us that there was a female and that she had been held captive somewhere near a laundromat. So we immediately start to drive towards the area of the call.
Where's she at now? Where's she sleeping at? In the bedroom.
I asked her more questions, trying to get as much as I could before he woke up.
You have to be calm, but there's an urgency.
Yes.
The woman says she's calling from her abductor's phone.
He had fallen asleep at some point, and she was able to secure this phone.
You couldn't trace the call back then?
Couldn't trace the call. This was a flip phone. It was not coming back to a location.
Do you need an ambulance? Are you bleeding from anywhere? Not anymore. Where were you bleeding from? You don't have to talk if you don't need to, okay?
Why couldn't she get out on her own?
Well, he had taken the doorknobs off, apparently.
As Officer Dorsey heads to the scene, there's a problem. How to find her?
The caller does not know her exact address, but she tells 911 she's being held captive in a house next to this laundromat. The problem for police is that there are 2 very similar houses in this area.
There were 2 houses right here?
Yes. 2 identical houses.
And you didn't know which one?
No, they were nearly identical, both the same color, same shape, 2-story. We had no idea which one.
They can't just gang bust into a house. What if he'd have woke up with a weapon and hurt her? So they had to find her quietly. So they were outside looking for her.
So how do you approach the house knowing that the captor is asleep?
So we first started to just look in windows to see if we could see anything. Just check different doors to see if we can pinpoint which house she's in.
As police conduct the search, there's a heart-stopping moment when the caller says she has awakened her abductor.
Oh, come on. Just set the phone down.
You can hear the sheer terror in her voice when he wakes up.
Yep.
And then the line goes silent. It must have seemed like
Yes,
that.
forever.
What's going through your mind?
I'm just praying they find her.
Five agonizing minutes later, she's back.
Yep.
Are you still there? Do you hear any officers outside? Okay, they're in the area.
What was it like to hear her voice again?
It was good. Glad she was still there and not hurt. And he was still sleeping. So that's good.
You can hear her desperation for help.
It's a chilling call.
It's chilling.
I remember as I was checking the doors, panic starts to set in. I wanted to find her so bad. We're going back and forth between the two houses. The dispatcher had told us at some point that she heard a door.
Did you hear him?
I remembered that I had pulled on a door hard and it made a noise that I didn't intend. So I ran around the house that we were currently at and looked towards the direction of the other house.
And they told him to come back. She said, hurry.
And I saw her hand. I saw her outstretched hand through the window, and I knew at that point she was in there. I would have gone through the wall to get to her.
A hand right on the window. That's pretty eerie. Sounds like something out of a movie.
Absolutely.
A horror movie.
We went to the door, it was locked, and I asked the dispatcher to relay to her that she needed to unlock the door.
Can you unlock the door at all?
She's able to unlock it, and we're able to open it.
Hurry up, get out here. Where is he? I'm sleeping. Still sleeping? Yeah. Okay, they have her.
It took 19 long minutes to get her out. What was it like when you finally hear Detective Dorsey?
It's the best sound ever. I was glad because the officers were safe. She was safe.
You smile a little because you're proud of her?
Yeah, proud of her.
What a relief.
What was it like when you came face to face with the victim?
I'll never forget the way that she looked at us. She looked shocked, like she had seen a ghost. She was fully nude. I don't think I've ever felt so much relief to find her. Divine intervention and a good dispatcher led us to that house and ultimately that door.
So now, police need to find out what happened in this house.
Hurry up, get out here. Where is he? I'm sleeping. Still sleeping? Yeah. Okay, they have her.
With the terrified 911 caller safely in their custody, police turned their attention to her abductor, a 40-year-old man identified as Sean Great. The dramatic moment when he's apprehended is heard on that open line from the 911 call.
Once we got Mr. Great into custody, he was handcuffed. He ended up in my car. So I began interviewing Mr. Great.
And how do you know her again?
We spend a lot of time lately together. We go eat lunch every day.
The victim, a 36-year-old woman police identify as Jane Doe to protect her privacy, is transported to the Ashland Police Department. Police are desperate for information, no easy task, as the woman was traumatized and still in shock. But Ashland police have a secret weapon. Enter Detective Kim Major.
Kim is the best interviewer that I've ever seen. She's able to speak with anyone, whether that be small kids or a violent criminal.
I was the only female detective for the majority of my career. Is that good? Is that good?
Major balanced the demands of detective work with the responsibilities of being a mother to 3.
That morning, Detective Kim Major is in the shower getting ready for work, and she misses 2 phone calls from her captain at the Ashland Police Department.
And I called him back, and he said, well, he gruffed at me and said 2 calls and a text. And he said, there's been a kidnapping. We've rescued the woman, and I need you to come in and interview her.
You come to the station, and what happens?
The victim was taken into my office at the end of this hallway, and that's where I spoke with her.
She had been tortured emotionally and physically.
Yes, she had. So I bring her into my office.
The effects of the woman's harrowing ordeal were immediately apparent.
The first thing I noticed is her appearance, of course. I could see that she had been victimized. The second thing I noticed was that I could smell the scent of her perpetrator. It's testosterone.
You could smell him.
I could.
What did you learn about Jane?
I learned that she had met Sean Great. She eats her noon meal at what we call the Croc Center. They provide free meals at noon. Jane Doe would eat there sometimes, and that's where she met Sean Great.
He was tall like my brother, my older brother, and he's kind of goofy, but he struck me as kind. Like when I would run into him at lunch, and if neither one of us was doing anything, we'd just walk around Ashland.
This is a woman so strong in her Christian faith that no man's phone number is in her phone, not one. No man crosses the threshold of her door.
He let me know that he would be interested in more, but I told him that I wasn't interested in, in beyond friends.
Kim was speaking with Jane Doe, and our captain at the time, Captain Lay, was speaking with Sean Great in the interview room.
David Lay, you are Sean. Sean. Great.
At the same time Jane Doe and Sean Great were being interviewed at the station, Detective Brian Evans was part of a team sent back to search the house where Jane had been held captive.
We went upstairs. The mattress in the bedroom looked like a dirty, used mattress that was just found somewhere and used as a mattress. And then there were some restraints, as in tied clothing, tied to different areas of the mattress to where it looked like that's where Jane Doe was possibly tied up.
So just how did Jane Doe end up a prisoner in this house of horrors? The pair had been out for one of their regular walks and ended up at the house where Sean Great had been staying.
He told her that he had some clothes for her. She also had bagged up some food for him. And she said it was against her better judgment to walk through the door because it's unlike her. But she did.
He just started showing me the clothes, and I remember him asking if I had an extra Bible because he didn't have one, so I got him one.
So she sat down to read the Bible, and as she's reading, he began to pace. And then he charged towards her, grabbed the Bible from her hands, ripped it from her hands.
Jane Doe tells Detective Major that at that point, Sean Great attacked her.
I tried to push him away and get up. I was just doing everything, trying to kick, punch, but everything I did, he just did it so much harder.
And then what did he do to her?
Sexually assaulted her. And her words were every way imaginable.
He would always bind my wrists, my legs at times.
The details were horrifying. But the interview takes a sudden turn when Jane Doe mentions the name of Elizabeth Griffith, one of 2 missing women police had been searching for.
She lived in the building next to me. Sweet, but like a child. Sean and I were playing badminton in the front yard, and Elizabeth saw us and came out. I think she just started, talking with us, and I don't know if I introduced her or she introduced herself.
Police discover there's a vital link between Jane Doe, Sean Great, and Elizabeth Griffith. All 3 of them would frequent this community center where they'd get free meals. That connection sets off alarm bells. Was it possible that this man, unknown to law enforcement in Ashland, Sean Great, was also involved in the disappearance of Elizabeth Griffith?
When I stepped out of my office, my captain said, listen, I need you to go in and talk to him about what Jane Doe told you. Can you go in and see if you can nail down the facts regarding that, see if it parallels what he's saying happened? Hey, Sean, I'm Kim Major, nice to meet you. The last thing he said before I walked in was, and while you're in there, see if he knows anything about the missing girls.
Did you know anything about what you were about to face? What do you do?
Well, I walked down this hallway. I was told to go ahead and interview him, and this is where the interview room is. And when I came in, he was seated right here.
Oh, he's right here.
Yeah. Hey, Sean. I'm Kim Major. Nice to meet you.
Before you came in here, did you have any idea what you were in for?
No, I had no idea.
You had your own recorder?
Yes.
And what did you do?
I took the recorder and just dropped it down my top.
Because you wanted a record of this?
Yes, just a backup in case something happened. And in this case, it proved valuable.
Valuable indeed, because the video system stopped recording shortly after Detective Major began interviewing Great. That means her backup was the only recording of the interview while the system was down.
So we're gonna get these cuffs off you.
You decided to take off his handcuffs.
Yeah,
Why?
I need to drop all of those things that would inhibit somebody's ability to relax or feel comfortable.
But out of his handcuffs, he could attack you.
He could.
You weren't thinking about that.
At that time, no.
In a city where law enforcement routinely interacts with the community, Sean Great was not known to police.
I had never heard his name. I had never had any tips about him. We didn't know him.
Sean Great had grown up in Marion, Ohio. That's about an hour from Ashland.
He was a good-looking kid, charming.
With Sean Great, people talk about his eyes, they're piercing blue eyes. And women will talk about that. That's how they recall him, or his eyes.
He just had one of these very likable personalities, very soft, laid back, very unassuming type of personality. And it was just one of those things that you just almost couldn't hardly not like.
Sean never told me much at all about his background. I knew he had either a sister and a brother. I had never met his dad. He told me his mom abandoned him. He absolutely hated his mother.
Christina Hildreth dated Sean Great for 5 years.
I think before we moved in together, he had worked at, it was a motel, Super 8 or something in Marion, and he might have worked there a couple of weeks. That was about it. Other than that, I've never known him to have a job.
While unknown to police in Ashland, Sean Great had become a familiar face at the Croc Center.
He would just come to our hot meal and just kind of integrated himself into the community meal and the community that attended and started making friends. I'd see him around town, walking and talking with people, and he just really kind of absorbed what we had.
What did he say about Jane?
At first, he tried to present it as if she wanted him. like they were in a relationship, that she wanted the sexual piece of this.
That was one of the reasons why she said she wanted to marry me, because she was horny that day.
Eventually, as we peel that away, you realize she didn't want this.
Just as empathy had helped in speaking to Jane Doe, Major was using a similar approach, hoping to gain Great's trust. And slowly, he begins to open up, sharing details about his childhood.
May have started when my mom left me when I was a child. I come home from school and she's gone, but I don't blame her. I used to, but
Why did she leave?
she had to go find herself.
I'm sorry.
It's fine.
Does he admit that something happened with Jane Doe?
Eventually, he begins to talk about what happened and admits in layers. He admits that he had held her there captive, admits that he had tied her up. I mean, looking at this whole thing, you forced her to have sex. She didn't want to.
I abducted her and I raped her.
And there it was. Detective Major had the confession, but the confession itself only raised more questions.
As he spoke about what he did to Jane Doe and would use the words kill, that he strangled her, you begin to realize this may be way more than Jane Doe. And earlier in my career, I probably would have stopped right at Jane Doe. Now, I realize it's a partial confession.
Detective Major brings the conversation back to Elizabeth Griffith, that missing woman who Jane Doe said also knew Sean Great.
We can't find Elizabeth. We'll find her, but we can't right now. Hey, look at me. Look at me. I need your help. That goes on for just so long enough that he's acting like he has no idea what I'm talking about.
And then suddenly, Sean Great makes a shocking revelation.
I might not be able to take you to her, maybe someone else.
How many are there?
How much you say many?
Now, detectives knew Elizabeth Griffith and Stacy Stanley were missing, but now Sean Great seems to be talking about even more women.
I guess I'm ready to try and get my lethal injection, but I'll tell you first.
Then things take a bizarre and frightening turn.
I'm thinking, this is not good.
At what point do you realize I might be dealing with a serial killer? You're in this very room alone with a serial killer.
The magnitude was becoming clearer to me. Whatever he did, I'm going to get it.
Police are now investigating whether they have a serial killer on their hands.
Are there any other girls in the house right now?
He had cut a slit into the back of the couch, and he was crawling in and out of the couch, and he would come out at night.
He says, meet the other me. I just froze. The first thing that hit my mind is a monster.
You don't normally have a killer show you how he did it.
He said, I'll just do it on you. Kind of grinned. I'd get up behind him like this. He locks this in, he locks this arm in, he locks this head here, and then he just pushes down and squeezes.
Wow, wow.
At one point, he told me it was probably a good thing I had him in custody, because there would be more.
We knew that she was relatively young. She had perfect teeth. We had somebody that had confessed to her murder.
A fellow inmate tells you that Sean Great, that he wants to kill you?
No, that desire, I'm feeling it now.
Sean Great has confessed to his assault on Jane Doe, but what about those two missing women in Ashland? It's an urgent race to find out. Is he behind their disappearance, and can they be saved? And as you continue interrogating Sean Gray, time is of the essence.
Time is always of the essence. I feel like I'm against the clock to get them to say something before I say the wrong thing and cause them to stop talking at all.
And you're thinking he might have these two missing women and they could still be alive.
Absolutely. I start pressing him on where Elizabeth Griffith is. Can you take me to where she is?
Yeah.
Why? Sean, look at me. If I take you in my little detective truck, can you take me out?
I don't know what you're talking about right now.
I'm looking for Elizabeth's body. Can you take me to it?
So she's dead?
Then suddenly Sean Gray reveals shocking information that maybe he can bring Detective Major to somebody else.
I might not be able to take you to her, maybe someone else.
How many are there?
I don't know, depends on how much you say many.
What?
I don't know, there might not be none.
He says he might not be able to take me to her, meaning Elizabeth, but might take me to someone else, and that there might be some many or there might be none.
So he's playing with you.
Possibly he's wanting to tell me something. Will you take me there?
I think you took place in Mansfield.
Where she is? Where are you gonna take me to Mansfield? Or there's another girl?
Well, there's a girl. Like nuts.
What happened? Is she gone?
She's been gone.
Is she in a house? What is she in?
What?
All right, what's her name? Candace? Cunningham?
He tells you there's someone else and that woman is Candace Cunningham.
Yes.
Did you know who she was?
I did not know Candace. Candace hadn't been reported missing.
As her colleagues watching in the other room start looking for information on Candace Cunningham, Detective Major continues to question Sean for more information. After all, the two missing women in Ashland are still unaccounted for.
As I watched the interview, I could see that Sean was warming up to Kim. He was telling her more. Her methods were working.
What was it about you that he connected with, felt comfortable with?
He told me that I had empathy, that he could see it. Who else?
The house. Where I came from.
Yeah? Was somebody in there?
Yeah.
Who is it? Is it Elizabeth? Where is she in there?
In the closet.
So then Sean admits to you that Elizabeth's body is in the closet in that same house where he was holding Jane Doe.
Right in the same house. When he said that, I didn't know if she was alive or not.
As Kim's interviewing, I called Detective Brian Evans to tell him that Elizabeth was upstairs in a closet. He had been working on a search warrant at the house.
I was surprised by the information because officers had cleared the house. We headed upstairs to see if we could locate Elizabeth. This is an abandoned house that has old wooden steps. You could see bare footprints going upstairs.
One of the guys on scene said, there is no closet upstairs. That detective went directly to a particular room and looked up and realized there was a concealed closet.
There was a bunch of clothing just all over this closet.
There were stuffed animals piled down below.
As we started pulling away the clothes, you could see the fly activity, and there was an electrical tape that was taped up around the sides of the door to help from the smell to come from the door. And once the door is open, there was another large pile of clothing. You could see the fly activity again all over the clothing.
Elizabeth's body was underneath all this.
Yes, it was.
What goes through your mind at that point?
Well, that it was a tragedy, and once the clothes were removed, her body, she was actually kind of like face down and hog-tied back.
Chilling.
Yes, it was very sad.
Sean tells Detective Major that the night of Elizabeth's murder all began when he says she called him late at night because she couldn't sleep.
She came over about 11 o'clock when she brought over Yossi, late Yossi. It just happened that the truck just reached up, just choked her.
We just didn't think it was possible. It couldn't have been Elizabeth. It just couldn't have been. And then we found out it was.
And we just sobbed and sobbed because it had come to a conclusion that we were not going to see our friend again.
You're in this very room alone with a serial killer.
Yes. As it progressed, the magnitude was becoming clearer to me.
I guess I'm ready to go ahead and get my lethal injection, but I'll tell you everything first.
He's bought into me, he's gonna talk to me. Whatever he did, I'm gonna get it.
Sean Great has confessed to the kidnapping and rape of Jane Doe, the murder of Elizabeth Griffith, and knowledge of the disappearance of Candace Cunningham. But Stacy Stanley is still missing, and Detective Major has a hunch he knows more about her as well. As the hours tick by in this very same room,
Yes,
you got more and more out of him.
that's right. It just kept coming out in layers, a little bit more and a little bit more. Are there any other girls in the house right now? Yeah,
One down in the basement.
down in the basement. What's her name?
Stacy.
He tells me that Stacy Stanley was in the basement of the home under a pile of trash.
Now remember, Stacy was that missing woman whose family had been searching for her after she was seen with a stranger changing her tire at that BP gas station. Sean says he was that stranger, and he tells Detective Major his version of what happened that night.
She came home with me. We kind of hit it off pretty good. And then we didn't. When we saw her fast, I just snapped on her.
The mood at the police division was shock. It was just chaotic and pretty unreal.
Then you get another disturbing call. There's another body in the basement.
Yes, if you go down the basement, there's space behind the stairwell. There was multiple bags of trash stacked up, and underneath the trash is where Stacy was. There was actually a picture of just her hand kind of sticking out of the trash, like eerily saying like, I'm here.
Have you ever seen anything like this in all your years of police work?
No, I've been on other homicides and other tragic cases, but not to this magnitude, no. A lot of our local community was coming to the area, and you could tell the feeling in the air was that the people knew that we found bodies in that house.
What started as a rescue ended with a gruesome discovery that only got worse. Now, families wait to find out if those women are their loved ones.
I got a phone call saying I need to get to Ashland ASAP.
I don't want it to be my mom. I mean, nobody wants it to be their mom. I don't get to watch her grow old. My daughter she don't get to watch my daughter grow up.
Honestly, I think that
My sister's in that house, and they're not going to know anything for a couple hours.
They pulled out a couple pictures. They're like, do you guys recognize that? I said, yeah, that's my mom's picture.
It was very traumatic, having to see that, and that was my mom laying there,
It's bad enough what he did, but for some reason, thinking that he put her under trash. It makes it worse.
It still touches you.
It does. For me, the day that cases don't impact me would be the day that I need to pack it in.
You want it to touch you. You want to feel
I want it to touch me. I mean, I don't want to be in an interview and lose control, but these ladies mattered.
But Detective Major had to put aside her emotions. Sean Great had confessed to a third woman named Candace Cunningham.
Candace was a little tiny, vibrant woman, lived in the next county over, Richland County. Candace had not been reported missing, and Candace had dated Sean Great.
On her Facebook page, Candace posts about Sean Great, including this picture, and later writing, "I am back with Sean and love him." It was just 1 month before her murder. In the interrogation room, Sean describes strangling her in an abandoned house after an alleged altercation.
3 o'clock in the morning, I hit my face with a bag of tobacco. I just snapped.
After I was done interviewing him, which went all day, I had asked him if he would take me to where Candace's body was.
What's going through your mind?
I was hoping that he wouldn't shut down from just having the emotions of going back to that place. So this is the scene where the home was, where Candace Cunningham was living with Sean Great. So there was a home here. He burned it down after he murdered her in the home.
Investigators took video of Sean that day as he led them to where he left Candace's body.
He's agreed to come out and show us where he put the body.
He killed her in a house that was here and then dragged her body toward the ravine?
Prior to burning that down, he carried her body wrapped up in a blanket. He carried her to the ravine.
Yeah, I remember these rocks.
How far down?
Carried her across the creek and up, straight up the hill, about between 10 to 15 feet. There's a big shrub.
While you were here, Sean got emotional.
He did. When we rolled up, I actually had to ask him, "Are you okay? You okay?" And he said it was hard. It was hard.
What was it like to finally find this woman and give it some closure?
Like I wanted to go down to the ravine and rescue her, but she's gone. Frustrating that she hadn't been reported missing, that no one even knew at all.
As the investigation continues, Sean performs another show and tell.
I just lost it, and then I just turned her around.
Revealing more deadly secrets.
During the interrogation, you asked Sean to show you his strangulation technique?
He said, "I'll just do it on you." Kind of grinned.
Next to that desperate call for help from a woman being held captive, police are now investigating whether they have a serial killer on their hands.
Sean Michael Great is being held for kidnapping tonight, and the sheriff's department says he should be charged with murder.
Lord, I told that Undertaker, Undertaker, please drive slow.
The community response was one of just complete shock. People had no idea that something like this could happen here.
Even though I don't know them, we are thinking about them and praying for them.
All I kept saying was, "Oh my God, And it was just like, this is unreal. No, we're not talking about the same guy.
I was just like, how? I knew he had this anger, but when I first found out, I couldn't comprehend that this was something he had actually done.
Those closest to Great were surprised to learn of his killing spree, despite them having their own chilling experiences with him. His former girlfriend, Christina Hildreth, says Great once spied on her from inside her sofa.
He says, I've been living in the couch. He said, when you came in, you were sitting on me. I seen everything you did. He had cut a slit into the back of the couch, and he was crawling in and out of the couch, and he would come out at night. That was terrifying.
And his friend Tim Dennis claims he had a text exchange with Sean that made his blood run cold.
He had, just out of the clear blue, asked me if he could borrow $20. And I told him no. All of a sudden, here's this whole slew of scathing messages. And he told me, bed bugs are coming to your house, roaches are coming. And then he makes this statement. He says, meet the other me. Honestly, I just froze. The first thing that hit my mind is a monster.
2 days after his arrest, you go interview him again now with Detective Evans?
Yes, I did. I asked him if there was anything else he wanted to get off his chest. Anything else you thought about that you haven't talked about? What's that?
It's a cold case. They've already found her. I'm thinking her name's Dana. I totally forget her name.
He tells me that he had killed a woman in Marion County.
10 years earlier.
10 years earlier.
Dana.
He didn't know her name for sure.
Who was she?
She had come to his mother's house to sell magazines.
Sean says he got upset because the woman didn't deliver the magazines that Sean's mother had ordered.
He said he was in town and just happened to see her. So he said he made up a story that he had money back at his house.
So that's when I fronted her. So you gonna rip me off like you did my mom, Dad? That's when I choked her out right here.
He said he placed her out by some railroad tracks. Her body had been found years and years ago. She just hadn't been identified.
Detective Major knows authorities will need to figure out who this Dana is, but they press on, probing Sean about key details of his other murders.
Detective Evans and I decided we might try to have him show us how he strangled the victims. So Brian Evans says, would you do this on a doll?
And what did he say?
He said, I'll just do it on you, and kind of grinned. I was like, okay, and then we got up.
So I roll the camera. Okay, this is Detective Major. We have Detective Evans in the room, Sean Great in the room. Then he kind of just gets behind Brian and does a hold on him.
Well, I had to just grab her.
I look at Brian's eyes and I'm thinking, this is not good.
So I'm you, and you're Sean. So what did he do?
So he just came up behind. He said I'd get up behind him like this, and then he comes back. He locks this in, he locks this arm in, he locks this head here, and then he just pushes down and squeezes.
Wow, wow.
And at that point, I kind of mouthed over to Detective Major that I'm not doing that again.
You could have lost consciousness in seconds. He could have killed you.
I didn't put a whole lot of thought into that. It just went to getting the evidence, and I feel I have some training that I don't believe he would have killed me.
Police don't normally get this kind of demonstrative evidence. You don't normally have a killer not only confess to a crime, but then actually show you how he did it.
How'd you know to stop? She went like this.
This morning, suspect Sean Great held on a $1 million bond and facing double murder and kidnapping charges.
Do you understand the nature of the 3 offenses charged in the complaint, Mr. Great?
Yes, Your Honor.
He
seemed kind of unalarming. I could understand why maybe women were trusting of him or went with him willingly, because he didn't look like a monster.
Law enforcement is on the hunt to figure out just who is this unidentified woman Sean Great has confessed to killing 10 years prior in neighboring Marion County.
Nobody knew who she was. It was a great mystery.
Investigators reached out to the Ohio Bureau of Criminal Investigation.
My name is Samantha Molnar. My position at Ohio BCI is a forensic artist. I can do a clay facial reconstruction from those skeletal remains. We can actually 3D print an exact replica of the skull. I basically start doing the clay reconstruction from there, building the muscle structure on the face, placing the average tissue depth markers, and then kind of finishing the sculpture. We did receive some tips, but none of those tips led to an identity.
Detective Kim Major isn't just trying to crack the Sean Great case. She also has to juggle the full-time job of being a mom to 3 active kids.
All right, hook her up.
I'm always worried about her, no matter where she is. I would stay up at night, me and my little brother would, and just wait till she gets home.
I try to say that I am not overprotective of my kids, but I'm sure I am.
But could this case put Kim or her family in grave danger?
When the case was going on, our fair kicked off. I get a phone call, and it's a man, and he said, "I have your daughter." On Friday night, my husband coaches football. I actually took my younger kids to the football game, and I sat there, which was also surreal, seeing all the things around me and the lights.
People are happy.
They're happy, they're cracking the helmets. The band, watching my husband, hearing the whistles.
Friday Night Lights.
It's Friday Night Lights. That's small town America. And I brought my kids home, put them to bed.
That's when Detective Major's oldest son, Corbin, who's preparing to enter the police academy, comes into the room.
He's like, "What's going on, Mom?" I said, "Sean Great builds forts all over the place. He's like MacGyver. He stays in these things. But there's one in particular he keeps talking about."
He had a fort in the woods, and she explained to me where it was. And I remember there was a body recovery within a quarter to a half mile that deemed a drug overdose right on a gas line.
I said, "What are you talking about?" He said, "Yeah, there was a woman that died of an overdose, and they dumped her body there."
We also just learned a body was found in Ashland County. Police say a gas company worker found the body behind a tree on County Road 1908, just south of Route 30.
And he said, "Hold on a second."
I kind of marked out where she thought his fort exactly was and kind of marked the distance. It was on the same county road. I was like, there's no way this is just a coincidence. This has to be from him. It's just, there's no way it's not.
I said, "Honey, it's an overdose and a dumping." And he said, "That's because of her lifestyle. And people assume it's that." He said he did it. You have to go talk to him. You have to do something. The next morning, went in to the jail, pulled Sean Great out. There's a case from out in the county, meaning that we found a girl. And we're trying to see if you'll be honest, if that's something you had something to do with.
Rebecca Lacey.
Yes, sir.
I had problems with her once.
31-year-old Rebecca Lacey's death had been ruled a drug overdose by the Ashland County coroner. But now, Sean Great shares what he says happened to her.
We played a game of pool. I went to the bathroom, right? I had some money in my wallet. And that's the first thing I did was just check my wallet. And it was gone.
He said she had stolen a few dollars from him, and he said he had strangled her. He talks about borrowing a car and taking her body out and dumping her in my county.
This is where Rebecca Lacey's body was found.
Yes, right against this tree right here.
When was she found here?
March of 2015, her body was found, and she had been here for a couple months.
Hard to believe that such a heinous crime could have happened here.
It should be a place of solitude, but instead, it's a place where a woman's body was discarded like she didn't matter.
But Rebecca Lacey's case was public knowledge, and Detective Major needed proof that Sean was actually involved in her death. So she asked him about details from the crime scene. What did Sean tell you about the placement of that memorial?
During the interview, when I had asked him to tell me some things that nobody would know, he said,
I can tell you the truth, because where I found the cross and stuff right now, she wasn't found there. She was found over by a tree.
He said you put the memorial in the wrong place.
yes. He was right. Nobody would have known that.
With this new information, authorities reopened the Rebecca Lacey case, ruled her death a homicide, and later charged Sean Great with her murder. Detective Major had formed a unique bond with Sean Great.
You spent 33 hours with Sean Great.
Yeah, 8 interviews, 33 hours over the course of over a month.
So much so that they've been compared to Clarice Starling and Hannibal Lecter from The Silence of the Lambs.
Starling.
Well, Clarice, have the lambs stopped screaming?
What kind of toll does it take on you?
It may have made me a little more hypersensitive. When the case was going on, our fair kicked off. I get a phone call, and it's a man, and he said, I have your daughter. And I said, who is this? And he won't answer me. And then he hangs up. They contact a guy who made the phone call. It was just a coincidence. The case probably changed how I handled something like that. That was a rough one for me that night.
A month after he's arrested, there's another chilling development. A fellow inmate tells you that Sean Great is targeting you, that he wants to kill you.
He said that Sean Great told him he was trying to find my gun on my body, that he thought it would be the ultimate to kill me.
This information did not lead to any additional charges against Great, but future meetings between Detective Major and Sean Great took place at the jail, where no weapons are allowed.
All along, do you think he was plotting to kill you?
I didn't know that initially. I went into a later interview with him. I said, are you still having that hunger that you talk about?
Can I ask you something? Will you be honest? Do you still have thoughts?
About that desire?
Yeah.
I'm afraid the desire probably grew when there wasn't no desire at first, but it might have gotten more. Now I feel like something that I just had to do. I'm feeling it now.
He told you he still had that hunger to kill.
Yes.
Sean Great says he had a hunger to kill. But Jane Doe and the victims' families had a hunger for justice. And now in court, they come face to face with the man they say is a monster. It's April 2018, and Sean Great goes on trial at this courthouse for crimes against 3 of his victims: Jane Doe, Elizabeth Griffith, and Stacy Stanley.
It was the trial that everybody was waiting for. They wanted to know if this community, if these families were going to get justice.
This is not a whodunit case.
This is a he did it case. The defendant subsequently, over the course of multiple interviews, confessed to every element of every crime with which he is charged.
I ask that you consider that Sean freely and voluntarily gave information during several interviews which implicated himself in several serious offenses.
Jane Doe comes face to face with her abductor, bravely taking the stand against Sean Great, detailing her horrifying ordeal.
It was probably the most crucial testimony in the case.
How was he choked?
With both hands around my neck.
Did he let go of your neck?
I think when I stopped struggling and fighting, he asked me if I had enough. And I think I just remained motionless, and so he released his hands.
She testified about the terror that she went through during the time that she was kidnapped and sexually assaulted.
At the trial, they played the audio of your interview.
They did.
With Sean.
Yes. And I entered the interview room to interview Sean Great. You can hear my heart beating at key times during the interview.
Who was that you were talking to on the phone?
It made me realize that maybe it affects me physically more than I recognize.
Prosecutors reveal gruesome details about the deaths of two of his alleged victims.
People don't understand when you were in that trial, what you see and what you hear, you can't unsee or unhear ever. And those thoughts are always in your mind. You can't forget it.
It was too gruesome. It hurt you that much.
Yeah.
Even talking about it today. Why?
Just what she went through. It wasn't fair.
Sorry.
We, the jury, being duly impaneled, find the defendant, Sean M. Great, guilty beyond a reasonable doubt of the offense of aggravated murder.
Sean Great, guilty on 2 counts of aggravated murder as well as rape and kidnapping. But justice is bittersweet.
He devastated so many people, he changed our lives, and he took away not only Elizabeth's innocence, but the innocence of all of us that believed we were safe.
The day of his sentencing, Sean Great addressed the court.
I ask you maybe forgive me, find in your heart someday. I know not today, but someday. This mess, I'm sorry for all human beings to have to listen, hear this, okay? I'm sorry. I can't change nothing. Believe me, I would. Not for me, but for you guys.
He asked us in court to forgive him, not for him, but for us. And obviously, I haven't forgave him for what he did.
Real justice would be for you to come with me for about 5 minutes. Burn in hell.
The victim impact statements were extremely emotional and very powerful. We heard from Stacy Stanley's son and 2 of her brothers.
It doesn't affect just one person when you kill them, it affects everybody. You ever bury your mother? I had to pick a casket out. I didn't expect that this young.
The offender was found guilty, and a sentence of death by lethal injection shall be imposed on Mr. Great.
At the trial, you had justice for Stacy Balloons.
Yeah.
And Stanley Strong. And you released him when he got the death penalty.
Yes, we had. There was quite a few people that showed up out there to show the support for the family, and that we were glad that he got convicted and received the death penalty. I mean, that was what we were hoping for.
Praise God.
In March 2019, Sean Great pleads guilty to the murders of Rebecca Lacey and Candace Cunningham in Richland County. But his first victim remained unidentified.
You are what you eat. So the different things you're exposed to in your environment all show up in your bones. We learned that she likely was from a southern state, somewhere between Texas and Florida.
Then finally, a match.
Now this woman, a victim of serial killer Sean Great, has a face and a name.
In June of 2018, the community of Ashland, Ohio gathered at the site of Jane Doe's frantic 911 call.
Today, that house was finally demolished, bringing closure for residents and relatives of the victims.
Many people felt like they needed to be here today.
After we found out that Elizabeth was one of the people in the house, I would have nightmares about it. And I would see her in the window asking for help. I wanted them to tear it down so bad, and I was so happy the day that they did.
You were there when you saw the house on Covert Court destroyed, demolished.
I was.
What did that feel like?
It was a tangible piece that was destroyed, but the weight of the situation is still here.
2007, the remains of a female.
1 year later, another step forward, a new development in the search for the identity of Great's first known victim.
The preliminary results indicated that the victim was very likely Dana Nicole Lowry of Minden, Louisiana.
So genetic genealogy was able to provide us a family and a potential identity of this person. And what we did next was go down and swab the daughter of Dana. We were able to directly compare the DNA from the daughter to the DNA from the remains to be able to confirm that was Dana Lowry.
Sean Great pleaded guilty to Dana Lowry's murder. So now there are 6 known victims, and only one of them survived, Jane Doe.
What would you say to that woman if you were able to talk to her today, to Jane
How
Doe?
brave she was. She saved so many people. If she hadn't been brave and did what she did, we wouldn't have caught him. Then how many more women would have suffered?
Kim Major has retired from the Ashland Police Department, and she now works as the Safety Services Director at Ashland University. And she's written a book about the Sean Great case.
I don't want to forget this case. I don't want anyone to forget it. These women could have been anyone.
You titled the book A Hunger to Kill.
Those are his words. He has a hunger to kill.
Do you think there are other victims out there?
I don't think this is a closed book situation. I think more information may come out.
We never get to say our goodbyes.
As for the Stanley family, they're still dealing with the tremendous pain of losing Stacy. You miss her still?
Oh yeah. It's been 8 years. I haven't even opened a box of anything of hers. I just kind of put it behind like it doesn't exist to an extent.
What keeps you going?
I know she would want us to go on. And the boys, it just breaks my heart to see what they go through every day.
Right, you ready, girlfriend?
And you know, like he just had a new baby.
Grandma? Let me see Grandma.
And he took her out and set her on his mom's bench at the cemetery.
Hello there. Is it Grandma? I talked myself into going out there. Yo, that was so cute. She was smiling so big.
It's beautiful.
And that's hard for me to sit and see my daughter never gonna meet my mom. Oh, she was a great grandmother to her first granddaughter, and I'm sure she would have loved mine just as much. My mom did not deserve that. Any of the women didn't deserve that.
And even though Sean Great's execution was originally scheduled for 2025, it is currently on hold until Ohio picks an alternative to lethal injection. His appeals have been denied.
He also denied 2020's request for an interview. Meantime, Kim Major's new book about the case, A Hunger to Kill, is available now. That's our program for tonight. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Deborah Roberts.
And I'm David Muir. From all of us here at 2020 and ABC News, good night.